All right, hello everyone. Welcome to episode 10 of the Salty Sports Podcast. It's a little different episode because we're having some technical issues. I'm going to be the one recording this, and I'm going to lead it off. But we're joined by Mr. Salt, the real host of this podcast. So
Today Steven can't be in here, unfortunately, due to these technical issues. I was forced into doing a very specific time window, but we have a guest on today to fill in, Cameron Woolley, host of the Cameron Woolley Show. You can introduce yourself if you'd like.
Oh, what's going on? I'm Cameron Woolley. As the doctor said before, I am the host of the Cameron Woolley Show on Shared Universe. You can find me on SoundCloud, YouTube. I specialize in the New York, New Jersey realm of sports, and when my good friend Salt gave me the heads up that I would be a guest speaker on his podcast today, I couldn't say yes quickly enough. I've heard a lot. I've listened to a bit of your show. I'm impressed as somebody who has been podcasting for a while. I've liked your show, and I like you as a dude, and I'm ready to talk some ball.
All right.
Well, that was a very dazzling introduction, and now let's get into the meat. Let's talk some ball. Today's episode will be the 2021 NFC preview. Last episode we did our AFC preview.
Yeah.
And,
we're also gonna quickly go over Week 1 predictions. So that will be there too.
And just like last time, we'll start out for the what we thought was the least interesting division to the most interesting. But yeah,
so we picked out the NFC North as the least. I guess this is a spoiler alert. I guess we kind of think this is the most hierarchical division. I feel like there is very little room for surprise. Not to say that there lacks any, but I guess we could start with the team that has the least expectations of all in that division, the Detroit Lions. Do you want to lead off, Blake?
Yeah. So the Lions definitely made lots of buzz this offseason when they ended up getting Jared Goff from the Rams, and then ended up getting rid of Matt Stafford, their longtime QB, and then very interesting move by the team.
They got 2 first-round picks for it as well.
Mm-hmm. I think we did discuss about that trade, but anyway.
Yes.
If it's not, I don't think it's going to be too much of a change when it comes to the offense. I mean, Stafford and Goff, I feel like are just almost in terms of now, almost about equal in terms of what they could produce for points.
I don't know about that. I think Stafford's a very big upgrade there, and I guess I'll talk about that more when we get to the Rams. But Goff has his upside, but I think but I like the move for Detroit. They got 2 firsts for it. I think there were better offers that were on the table because those were more solidified, guaranteed higher picks. But I think for them, I like that they decided to go for a reset. I think that was a really smart move. Obviously, I think the bigger story is that their wide receiver room is it's decimated, I guess. Both Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones went somewhere else. Looks like Amoa St. Brown, a rookie, might be their top option for Goff. They might have to lean on the running game a lot this year, though. DeAndre Swift, hopefully he can stay healthy for them. And they also have a really nice offensive line. Penei Sewell struggled in preseason, but you got to hope that he'll do fine, live up to the advertisement. They have a great center in Frank Ragnow. Have a solid interior, so you'd hope that they can if they want to win, which they probably won't a lot, that they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it on the ground.
Yeah, and that's what you said. I mean, that's why I was scared to pick Swift in fantasy, because just the fact that will we be able to stay healthy is a big question mark coming into the season for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is looking honest kind of looking like another season of Detroit football where I see them as a 6-5 win team. Nothing
You
too
know what?
nothing too horrible. They do have pieces to be somewhat a decent squad, but
They have
not enough for the
pieces.
push.
I like their defensive interior. Their corner room could get better when Akuda does better. I like Dan Campbell. I think he's like a Chad man.
Yeah, I remember watching his opening presser. I was about to punch a building for that guy. I was about to be like Mr. Sandman in his little opening cinematic and punch out. I was about to knock down a friggin' building for that
Dude,
guy.
if I
He's
was a
awesome.
Lions player, the only thing that would keep me going if I was a Lions player was knowing I get to play for Dan Campbell.
And that is the kind of vibe you want from a coach.
Yeah,
And the Lions, like everybody every year always seems to have this conversation about the Lions. They've got the pieces. They've got some parts of the machine there, but there's always
I,
something, whether it's the coaching or the
yeah,
quarterback play or the running game or the offensive line or the defense or a part of the defense or whatever. It's just the Lions. Like the Lions are a losing franchise. They have been since the Super Bowl era started. And I don't know if they're gonna ever hit that spot for a while.
yeah. I think
And
that, like
like
I said, they did a total reset. I think they're going for a tank this year. Like, no doubt
yeah,
about it.
yeah, if I'm the Lions, I go steep. I go deep in the mud. I am just weathering the storm, and I am just gunning for Sam Howell or whatever quarterback prospect makes a Joe Burrow type jump this
Yeah,
year in their draft year. Just whatever to get a quarterback, because Jared Goff, as much upside as he has, as much of a high floor that he has, I guess, I don't see him as an option in the future to lead a team to a championship. Like,
same.
sure, he can be part of it. He can help a team, but he can't be the reason
Yeah,
that
I
the team
agree.
wins the championship, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I agree. And so, to me, I'm thinking, all right, this is so. I guess I'll give my record prediction. I think this is going to be a miserable year. I think Dan Campbell is going to be the only thing that's going to, make this like anything interesting. I think Detroit ends the season with 1 or 2 wins against some like really shitty coach team, and I'm looking at like the Bengals or the Cardinals, like like a massive upset kind of win or two. If you have a record prediction for them, Frank, where are you going at?
I'd go around 3 to 5 wins. It's about as much as I can give to these guys. They are just, like you said, it's miserable.
Yeah,
And it's kind of the same thing every year with the Lions. It's just miserable.
yeah. In the past, I mean, there were years with hope. Stafford, you'd hope to take them to the
Yeah.
playoffs. He did sometimes. Never came out
I
with a
feel
victory in it.
I
But
feel so bad for Matt Stafford, but I kind of don't now because he's on a team that has a lot of pieces, and we'll get to the Rams. This is the second time we've teased them, but um, yeah, Matt Stafford just kind of left there to just rot in a way. Like, put
yeah,
up great numbers, get the big contract, and he'll be one of the best fantasy quarterbacks, but I don't know. He just never had he didn't have winners around him. There's not a winning culture there. And like, we can talk about culture all we want. We can talk about
and
grit or
maybe Dan Campbell's the
veteranosity or
guy.
whatever.
You know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I
Dan
guess
Campbell.
yeah,
Let
I
me tell you,
guess
culture makes such a difference. In
that's true.
football, makes a world of difference.
I guess kind of we wrapped up with the Lions there. We can move
Yeah.
now, I guess, to a team that I'd say that maybe for this season doesn't have a lot of expectation, but you have to feel that after a certain draft selection that they're feeling a lot better than they were before the draft. And that would of course be the Chicago Bears and that selection being Justin Fields.
Yeah, Justin Fields.
Steven obviously isn't here for today, which I mean that sucks, and we know that he would have loved to just discuss the Bears, give his insights, take this over, and save us all some breath.
Yeah.
Um,
But I mean,
yeah, I would have loved to hear what he said about the Bears, but he gave me a little bit of something to say. Link, you had something to say?
yeah, this is I was just saying. I mean, we could talk about. I mean, we could. This is really. I think this is a big swing for the. Like, this is going to be a big change up for the Bears. I feel like this is yet again another year where Nagy may be on the hot seat because I mean, last year they did make the playoffs, but it was a kind of disappointing 8-8. But now I mean, when we look at the Bears, looks like Dalton, who they acquired in the offseason, looks like he'll be splitting starts with Fields. I'm not sure on that. Have they said anything like how that's gonna work, or is it just?
So Dalton's going to be the Week 1 starter.
Yeah.
That's all we know. The assumption here is that the Bears are doing this so they don't scare away free agents. It was a free agency promise that he would start. Obviously, he's going to have to earn it from there, I would say, because Fields has outperformed in preseason, which, I mean, it's preseason, but he's still outperforming. And I would say with that situation, that's going to be a very interesting one. Obviously, I think Dalton will start at least 3 games. Could be more. If he performs well enough for those 3 games, could be less if it's bad enough. But yeah, there is some concerns on that offense outside of the quarterback controversy. Their wide receiver group is looking on the up. You have Allen Robinson still around. Darnell Mooney is a solid number 2. Obviously not a premium number 2 because those guys are like number 1 quality on their own right, but he's a solid number 2. Offensive line, there's some worries. Tevin Jenkins being out with an injury. Obviously, Leno was released with the anticipation that Jenkins could take over at left, which isn't looking good. Tight end, there's some concern about maybe more of a deep threat tight end. Jimmy Graham being older, Cole Kmet maybe not being it. That doesn't work with the style. So we'll see what happens with that offense, but hopefully we'll see Fields this year on the field because that would be exciting.
Yeah, and you did mention Damian Williams is coming back as running back after taking 2020 off, so he's going to be back in the backfield for the Bears.
Yeah, and that'll help because I believe Cohen is going to miss a good bit.
Mm-hmm.
I know with the defense, they have a really good front 7 still. Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, who was rumored to be traded. There's a lot of guys rumored to be traded because when it was believed for a while, maybe they're going to offer a big package for Russell Wilson, which didn't come to fruition. Obviously, they have Roquan Smith at the middle linebacker position. Still have Eddie Jackson at safety. Tashawn Strong safety is a bit older, but he's solid, but a bit old. Maybe not a long-term solution. And then, of course, that Adrian Amos void, still there. Of course, the Bears also have. They released Kendall Fuller. Jalen Johnson's getting promoted to the new number 1, but that corner group outside of him is kind of weak. I guess if you guys have anything, to add with the Bears.
In my opinion,
Yes.
Somebody's perception on the Chicago Bears all depends on how they feel about Justin Fields as a prospect coming into the league. Chances are, if you have someone that's really high on Justin Fields, they're going to say that the Bears have a 11, even 12 win upside if they're really high on Fields. And there are people out there. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter like champion Justin Fields as this bronze savior of Chicago, which he very well could be. Like, I liked him coming in. And there are people who think that Justin Fields isn't that good, and they think that the Bears are gonna, kind of slide a little. And of course, there is the added pressure of the traded draft capital to acquire the rights to select Justin Fields, and that might play in. So there's a big stake in that.
Of course. Same time, though, I think with the Bears, if you're getting guys good as Fields at low as he got, he might be worth it, even if that pick they gave up is a premium to New York.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you could give up 3 first-round picks for the chance to draft a quarterback, and if you hit on that quarterback and he ends up being your guy, that's worth it. And the Bears, my opinion on them is that they got a good roster. There's missing pieces, but they overall have a good roster. That, like the offense, the receiving core, it's pretty good. Tariq Cohen, I've always viewed him as kind of a dynamic kind of guy. Or is Tariq Cohen hurt? I'm sorry. Is Tariq Cohen hurt, or is he healthy? I'm sorry, I don't follow the Bears too much.
Cohen's the one that I think is hurt. It's Montgomery that's healthy.
But yeah, like Montgomery, he's been pretty good.
They have a good running back duo when
him.
Healthy. Yeah.
Yes, when healthy, they have a dynamic running back duo. Tariq Cohen, I'm a big fan of his. If he comes back strong, if Montgomery can go in and do what he does well, which I remember I watched him against the Giants. I'm like, oh yeah, this guy's pretty good. And that defense, what the hell else do you have to say about that defense? Up front, they are a force of nature. And Khalil Mack alone makes that defense a top 5 unit in the league. And as you said before, they are a little weak on the flanks, on the outside, and the secondary. You mentioned the corners and the void left by Adrian Amos a couple years ago that they still have yet to fill. And if I could pick a win total for this team, I'd say they'd win around from 7 to 9 games. I'd say a middle of the road, just that kind of year, but with a complete ceiling of around 10 games.
Yeah, fair. I think
I could see that.
For my prediction, I think this team is a team that's like an 8 and 9 caliber team, but I think their tough schedule is going to bump them off a few games. So I'm gonna go with 5 and 12, to be honest. It's not them, it's the schedule.
It's the outcome I want.
What are you thinking, Link?
I'm thinking with the Bears. Last year they were 8-8, pretty mediocre overall. Barely kind of snuck into the playoffs there. This year, this is do or die for Matt Nagy. I feel like if he underperforms this year, he's done being the coach for the Bears. He better figure it out because he's done for if he fucks up. But
yeah,
I see the Bears.
Nagy's...
there's very good pieces for the Bears. I feel for that with Khalil Mack still on the on the edge side, and then you got some good pieces of wide receiver. You got some. We were just complimenting some of their other pieces, but overall, the Bears, I think, will be in somewhat of a playoff window, but I don't think they're going to be able to get into the playoffs. They're going to be about, I think, 7 wins would be the correct, or my prediction for them.
Yeah. I'm thinking, with the Bears, you're bringing up Nagy. I think his job security, I mean, the overall team performance will matter, but I think if Fields looks good when he's on the field, I think that'll buy him another year, even if the performance isn't too good on the team level.
Bingo.
Um,
I can't remember. Now I'm like bringing this up, but I remember with Pat Shermer on the Giants, like when they drafted Daniel Jones, it was like, oh, it's not about how the team plays now, it's about how the kid looks, and if Justin Fields plays well, that could buy him another year. Now Pat Shermer, it obviously didn't work out for him, but with Nagy, if Fields really plays well enough and he's built up more of a better track record around the league, I mean, he has a division title to his name, that's got to mean something. And and then, we'll see. The Bears are a very intriguing team. I'm interested to see how everything works out with them.
Yeah. I guess.
I've always liked them.
Yeah. Now you got a reason to root against them.
Yeah, I'm rooting against them. For those that don't know, I'm a Giants fan, so
yeah.
So I'm rooting against them. So that pick is a little higher in value.
Yeah.
But I'm.
Yeah. I guess we can move on to the next team in the North. So I'm thinking, the next team, we're talking about a hierarchical division, that would be the Vikings. And the Vikings, they've been interesting the last few years. They flip-flop in and out of the postseason. They're getting a lot of pieces back on defense. Danielle Hunter is coming back. Eric Hendricks, who was hurt, he's coming back. They still have, overall a pretty good team. Signed Dalvin Tomlinson. That's a player you're familiar with, Frank.
Yep.
Cameron, yeah. It's a nickname, yeah. So I could get used to calling him.
Yeah, it's my name on Discord. It's fine.
So, and of course their offensive line got better in the draft. They got Wyatt Davis. They got Christian Darrisaw. With the, we all know about that deadly 1-2 at wideout with Justin Jefferson, one of the filthiest route runners in the league, rookie sensation, and of course Adam Thielen, undrafted free agent, who's succeeded. But of course, and of course the guy who probably was the show that everyone would want to see in that game before Jefferson's breakout. Of course, even when Diggs was there, as Diggs did take a next step when he was Buffalo, but that would be Dalvin Cook. Great running back, decent receiving threat. I'm not sure how good, but he's an elite back. That can't be denied. And the man delivering the ball being Kirk Cousins. And the Vikings have a solid roster, but there's a glaring flaw, and that's the corner. That's the corners. Similarly to the Bears. But they don't even have like a Jalen Johnson to lean on that corner. And that's the concerning part, is that yes, that front seven, it can do damage, but the corner room, if a team has a solid enough line to buy their quarterback just a semblance of time, those receivers can absolutely destroy those corners and get the team moving on the Vikings. And that's my main concern for them. If anyone else has anything to say about them.
I mean, I don't really know if I have anything to say about the Vikings. Like you said, on paper, the offense, the skill positions, everything looks great. But again, like you said, on the flanks, on the perimeters, they have a terrible secondary.
They have a good safety group.
Well, okay, they have Harrison Smith, but I mean, who else in here?
Yeah, that's fair.
Harrison
He's all
Smith.
alone there.
Harrison Smith, radio static. I can't see this team making the playoffs. It's just the Vikings.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just that.
I guess if we want to do the win predictions,
I don't
unless
know. I
Link
mean,
has anything to say.
there's another big thing about the Vikings. I mean, this has nothing to do really on the field, but really off the field. I mean, the Vikings still have 5 notable players still, and out of the 12 who still haven't been COVID vaccinated. Now, not going to get anything about blah 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 about that, but I mean that's a pretty huge deal because I mean that could maybe cause a problem down the line as we get deeper into the season, and you need to win those crucial games. We could see a Viking player go on the COVID-19 list in a really key game, and that could kind of fumble their season right there.
That's definitely a concern. I know I'm aware that Kirk Cousins isn't, Adam Thielen isn't. Who are the other players?
I'm pretty sure Dalvin Cook isn't.
Okay, yeah. I know Jefferson is. There's like a picture of him getting it too, and like I think he's been publicly talking about it. Yeah, that can be concerning if a outbreak happens with the Vikings. Obviously, I mean, I won't get into whether they should or not, but because of the NFL's rules, it's definitely going to be worrying for their fans.
Yeah.
I guess I can do a prediction here. I'm going to give the Vikings 8 wins, 9 wins, give or take. I think they have a tough schedule to deal with. So I'll give them 8 or 9 wins. I don't see them in a playoff spot though.
Yeah, I'm gonna go what Salt said. Just middle of the road, mediocre. That COVID drama could end up getting to him. Could be an outbreak, and they could be very well playing shorthanded.
I'm just that concerned about their secondary. I think that it's bad enough that it could waste their front seven's efforts. Unless you have a team that's really stupid and just continues to try to run when it's not working. But
which there are teams like that.
There are teams like that.
Never underestimate the stupidity of a bad offensive coordinator.
Did the Giants play the Vikings? Because Jason Garrett literally did that before when the Cowboys played him.
Wait, do they play him? God, I haven't quite memorized.
Actually, no, I don't think you do because because you were a second place. So
I don't know what
the
East
plays the South this year.
Yeah.
Okay. Link, do you have a prediction from?
Yeah. If all this coming together, I feel like this is a team very similar to how I feel with the Bears. They're going to be a team that's probably going to be in a playoff hunt somewhere somewhere during the season. Like they may at one point be in that third wild card slot, but they're not going to get it. I think they're going to be equal to the Bears at 7 wins.
All right, that's fair. Steven's not here, but I guess spoiler alert. I guess if he was here, he would have had them, as a playoff team. But we'll get to that more later. Moving on now. Of course, we were talking about the AFC North hierarchy, and of course, the king, the 2-time reigning king, happens to be the team that everyone else in that division always dreads and hates, the Packers. If anyone wants to lead it off with Green Bay.
Well, it's certainly been turbulent. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, there were questions whether he would ever play football again. At one point, he did an interview on ESPN, and there was so many questions, and that all ended, and he's in training camp, and he's going to play this year, and whenever he does play, he puts up crooked figures. He is a great quarterback. He is one of the most talented quarterbacks to ever play this game. Plain and simple.
And with him, there was the controversy with Devontae Adams, who also is locked into playing this year. Obviously, they had a contract negotiation breakdown. Another big news at the skill position, Aaron Jones, after a season it seems like the Packers were bracing for his departure with the draft pick of A.J. Dillon. They actually came to re-sign him, and so they're going to have Jones and Dillon platoon again, it seems. Not gonna lie, re-signing Jones, I don't like it too much. I think he's great, but I mean, you drafted Dylan with a big pick. I'm not sure why you wouldn't be ready to toss the reins to him. Um, Obviously, David Bakhtiari is gonna miss some time, had a torn ACL, but he'll be back. They lost Corey Linsley, drafted Josh Myers. But their offensive line still has quality to it. It's just more of a matter of when Bakhtiari is going to be back, that's going to be at its top shape again. They got Amari Rogers as a receiver in the second round. On the defensive side, no one better to headline it than a guy with an argument to be the best corner in the league in Jair Alexander. He has a new partner in crime this year, Eric Stokes. In the safeties, they have one of the best duos at that position in the league with Adrian Amos and at strong safety and Darnell Savage at free safety. Of course, the linebacking position, still not the most impressive, but they always make it work. On the defensive line, of course, they have Clark and of course headlined by Zadarius Smith, which is looking like a scary defensive unit again, one that can be even better than it was last season. But of course, the headlines this year is going to be Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. They're trying to liken this to The Last Dance. I'm not having it.
Dude, you're gonna. You don't compare yourselves to Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. As much as great as you are, you're not Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen.
You're not Otani. You're not Tim Anderson. You're not a Brave. You are Cheeseburger Kid. But no, Aaron Rodgers, I mean, jokes aside, I mean, he's a legend of the game. Certainly, but Michael Jordan, that's an untouchable claim. But the Packers are looking for a Super Bowl or bust again. Anything short of a Super Bowl victory, it would be a disappointment for Green Bay. Any further comments about?
Can they get past the hump of always? Can they win the NFC Championship game? Can they not have it like these past couple years where they're so close, but something happens?
Yeah, the NFC Championship has been a big haunting point through Aaron Rodgers' career after the Super Bowl win. Of course, you had the loss to Seattle, the loss to Atlanta, and then the loss to the 49ers. I don't feel it doesn't haunt them too much because I don't think
they didn't. That team wasn't special.
That team wasn't special, but the one against the Buccaneers, that one has to stink.
Yeah. Because, the Packers in 2019, the team that lost to the 49ers, they were 13-3, but they were a bad 13-3.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers didn't have that great of a year. All they had to do was piss him off so he could have that great of a year.
Yeah. Yeah, my thing is, if the Green Bay Packers find a way to piss off Aaron Rodgers, they will have a very good time this year.
Yeah.
Very good time if they find a way to piss off Aaron Rodgers.
They brought Randall Cobb back to appease him.
Yeah.
Oh, Randall Cobb. That guy.
Yeah.
I have a bad memory, man. Bad memory coming up. Bad memory 2016 wildcard game. Oh, God.
Despite all that, where do we see the Packers? Do we see them, like I'm about to say, and we're going to see them as another Packers 13-win season?
I'm saying 12, but
12.
I don't. But they definitely can win 13. There's no putting it past them. But I did the NFL playoff predictor, and I had them at 12.
Yeah.
But I don't put it past them to win more.
Yeah, with me, I have them pinned exactly at 12-5.
Yeah.
I was running when I was doing my notes pre-show. I went through, and I'm like, you know what? The Packers are gonna finish 12-5. That's where I see them, and that's where I have them deadlocked right
Yeah,
now. 12-5.
and
They're
like I
just
said,
a good football team.
they're just a good football team. Yeah, and you know what? And they have, and I think they'll get better as the season gets on when Bakhtiari is back. I mean, with a healthy Bakhtiari performing at his best, that team has an argument. I'm not saying they are. I think a team we're going to talk about later is, but they have an argument to be the most complete team in the league. Um, but yeah, I guess that's it with the North. Unless anyone has, anyone last thing to say with it.
I think we covered it.
All right, so let's go to the NFC South. Down south, I guess we could start with. We started the North off with a team that's doing a bit of a reset. Maybe we'll start with a team that is coming off a franchise legend retiring. That, of course, being Drew Brees of the New Orleans Saints. It's a new era for them, an era in which they're going to start with Jameis Winston, which that's going to be fun.
That is going to be interesting.
I'm telling you now, like, you call him good, call him bad. You can't deny that Jameis Winston is a fun quarterback.
Yeah, he is fun, dude. Like what? He's a gunslinger. What do you expect? Throws a lot of interceptions, throws a lot of touchdowns. He slings the ball deep. What? Brett Favre was a gunslinger. Nobody had a problem with that.
Yeah, and
but seriously, Jameis Winston has a really bad turnover problem.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to say that Jameis Winston is good.
They're hoping that Sean Payton fixes it, but yeah, they chose Jameis over Hill. That seems like the right choice.
Taysom Hill is not a quarterback; he's a gimmick.
And obviously, Jameis provides significantly more upside than Taysom Hill ever will. I think the big thing with Jameis is that, with him, you're obviously, you don't know what you're getting on a given drive. You might just get a really nice touchdown, or you might get a really bad pick six. The thing to worry about,
a touchdown regardless.
Yeah. So I should have just said a really nice touchdown. Is it to his team or the other team? That's to be the team.
Yeah.
The thing that is going to be interesting with me is that how is that wide receiver group going to do? They have previously built their group to fit more with Drew Brees, who his arm has, in terms of strength, has declined, and of course, with obviously, so they aren't used to going deep as much as they would be. Michael Thomas is going to miss time, so you're going to look for guys that we haven't known much about before to step up if you're the Saints. Callaway is a guy they're looking like he'll start number one on the depth chart until Thomas is back. Thomas will likely miss the first 6 weeks, though one of those will include their bye. Of course, I think where the Saints, their strength is that defensive side of the ball with guys like Cameron Jordan. Obviously, they still have Davenport, I believe, but he hasn't worked out as much as they'd like. They have the new guy around. Forgetting his name. Peyton Turner brought him. They drafted him. Obviously, they have one of the 10 best middle linebackers in football, probably like somewhere in the 7 range. I'm not too sure when saying this. And Demario Davis, he's an underrated player though. I think his name doesn't get talked about enough. And at the secondary position, they still have that dynamic duo of corner and safety of Marshawn Lattimore, who I think he'll play. I know he had some legal things.
Yeah, it's been not confirmed yet if he's going to be suspended for the game against Green Bay, but I mean it's coming up, so we're going to have to get that answer soon.
What we do know is he'll spend some time playing this year, but it would be a major loss if Lattimore wasn't there, as even though Cameron Jordan has been that defensive best player, I think he's been kind of more of the face of the new model that has really took off ever since 2017. And of course, Marcus Williams, who, against all odds, they brought back on the tag. Probably will get an extension next year, though I could be wrong. But that defensive unit, if it has Lattimore there and it stays healthy, that could be a really good defensive unit.
Yeah, we saw it last year. They were like one of the best when it comes to ground defense in the league. So.
Yeah. The Saints, they remind me, somewhat of their structure reminds me of a team we'll talk about later, in which, there's going to be questions at the quarterback play, but there's some really there's things to like at the skill position, and their defense is great. And, speaking of which, we didn't talk about the running game for them.
Alvin Kamara.
Let's talk about Kamara, man.
What else can we say about him? What? He can run the ball well. He can catch the ball well. He's dynamic. He can do well in the trenches. He can do well on the outside. He can run. He can.
He's the star of the show.
He can break tackles. Yeah, he's.
Yeah, he breaks them with his elusiveness. But and of course, who can forget about that really nice offensive line? You hope Cesar Ruiz takes a step up, but we all know the stars of that offensive line are Teron Armstead at left tackle and Ryan Ramczyk at right tackle.
For real, dude. That offensive line,
real
good.
And so there's a lot to love about the Saints. And, I'll give my record prediction. I think there's a lot to love. I think this is a team that has a lot of potential in it, but I just can't see. I just don't love Jameis. That's my only problem. I think if Jameis breaks out, they are a genuine threat. But I'm just not the biggest on it. And so to me, I think the Saints will end the season with 9 victories, and they will try to fight for that wild card spot, but I just don't think it's going to be there. Obviously, I know Drew Brees wasn't all that great last year, but he was still somewhat more of he was still a stable quarterback, whereas with Jameis, he'll win games, but he's going to lose them. And so, that reared its ugly head in Tampa. I think that team before he left. I mean, when it was proven with Brady, it was a really good team, but Jameis just really took him out of the playoff hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jameis is just a. But I'll tell you something. Jameis Winston. Sean Payton is a really smart coach.
Yeah,
and he can do it. I think Jameis is going to take a little step with them, whether that be him limiting the turnovers a little bit, which I think if he's going to take a step, I think he will, or him having the run game to fall back on. He can hand it off to Kamara. They've got smart people over there in New Orleans.
Yeah,
and they can. I think a project like Jameis Winston is not too. It's a tall task, but it's not that tall of a task for a guy like Sean Payton.
Yeah, and like I said, I think this is the best spot for him to be. I'm just not sure that 1 year is going to be enough to completely turn the page for him.
Oh yeah,
they're going to be a decent shot at the playoffs. I'm going to go out and say it. This team that, I'm considering putting them in the 7 seed. I'm considering it.
Have a shot,
it's hot. I know. What, a team with Jameis Winston leading it, making the playoffs? It's about the roster. It's not just about Jameis. I think if Jameis limits the turnovers, this team can win a few games. Now, I have them pegged at 9 wins, but I feel like I don't think that the 7th seed in the NFC wildcard race is going to be filled by someone who's going to win 10 games or 11 games or whatever. It kind of falls off hard after the 3rd place team in the NFC West. Yeah. Whoever that is who's going to be the 6th seed. It falls off, and it falls off like a cliff. It falls off. And I think the Saints are a team that has enough talent on the roster alone to fill up that 7 seed. And
Oh, I agree. They have the talent. It's just a matter of, is Jameis going to enable them? Not the reason. Is he going to enable them?
yeah, he's a guy. If he limits the games that he loses for you, they can keep him around.
Yeah.
Well, not exactly keep him around. There's no way he's the future solution there. They're going to go looking for a quarterback sooner or later, but
maybe he could be. We'll see.
Like Jimmy, yeah, maybe he could. He limits that. Like if he becomes a quarterback who only throws 10 interceptions a year and keeps up the positive production that he put up in Tampa, yeah, he could be the guy. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, he gets the ball down the field. That's for sure.
He pushes
That's
it.
one positive.
He's entertaining.
He's entertaining. All right. So what are you thinking in your link?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's kind of been answered. I mean, it's the most interesting going to come out. That's going to come out of the Saints this year is Sean Payton going to be able to build an offensive scheme around Jameis Winston and his do or die mentality. But everything else about the team, the defense, looks it's going to be as solid as it was last year. We still have Alvin Kamara in the backfield at running back. He's going to look to have another really good season. This is going to be currently. I mean, they're looking like a team. Honestly, like what Frank said. I mean, I thought this team, especially back in January, was like because with how the cap situation was for them, I thought it was going to be a really horrible offseason for them. But I mean, they somewhat managed to actually keep a lot of the team around. So that's and that's a good thing because last year's team was a pretty good squad. So, I mean, I see them getting into that wild card chase. I see them getting into the having probably won. I'd say putting them at 9 games would most likely be it because I mean, Drew Brees going from Drew Brees to to Winston. It's just like it's gonna be a shift, and I don't think especially these first couple games they have, that you're gonna see that kind of get exposed that they're still trying to make adjustments.
All right. I guess maybe it's fair now to move on to Jameis's old stomping grounds, the defending Super Bowl champions, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That sounds so weird.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound weird when you realize that they're.
It doesn't sound weird when you find out that they have the best overall roster in football.
Let alone being a Tom Brady-led team.
Yeah, dude.
My God, it's so crazy that
What Madden simulation is this?
So crazy he's not a Buccaneer. I'm not a Patriot.
Yeah.
Man, just what a world. But of course, Tom Brady. I mean, he's become more likable ever since going to Tampa. It's really weird to think about, but I mean, he's been using social media a lot more, and you can see you see his personality shine a lot more. Ever since he came over to Florida. I mean, of course, part of that
weather's warmer down there.
is that he's not part. The Patriots dynasty as it was isn't the same, or maybe no more. We'll see. There's always the fear that Belichick can keep that alive, but we're not here to talk about the Patriots. We're here to talk about the Buccaneers. Tom Brady had a great season last year, considering he had a torn MCL the offseason before and did not surgically repair that. He did this offseason. But obviously, he is going to be the star of the show. The thing with the Buccaneers to talk about is that absolutely complete roster. I mean, where should I start? One of you tell me, where do I start with them?
I guess you gotta start with the offense. The offensive line.
Yeah, what a nice line. I mean, they have a solid blindside blocker in Smith, but we all know that the offensive tackle that everyone talks about is Tristan Wirfs. What a rookie season he had. at right tackle. The kid from Iowa who is continuing to produce some crazy draft talent. Of course, the inside of that offensive line, that deserves some praise as well. Obviously, Ali Marpet, Alex Kappa, and the center, Ryan Jensen. The Buccaneers have a amazing line, and then we just haven't even gotten to the skill positions. I mean, at running back, they have a solid committee with Fournette. They also have Ronald Jones. I know they're talking a bit. I think it was Keyshawn Vaughn, maybe a third back that could be solid if needed. Then at the receiving position, I mean, obviously he's not the same, but you have the tight end Gronk, who's an absolute legend in the game. Antonio Brown, who he's back and he's looked good. I mean, he had a Super Bowl touchdown catch. But we all know the two receivers that, and the two skill position guys on the Buccaneers that everyone fears. And so Mike Evans and Chris Godwin.
Oh.
Dear good Lord, those guys, that receiver core is bonkers.
Oh, and did I mention Scotty Miller?
Yes, Scotty Miller. Oh my God, he's going to be riding the bench. He's going to be a sub-in for them.
Yeah, it's just absolutely crazy.
Yeah, those. If you ever wondered what Tom Brady looks like with a stacked receiver core when he was on New England, just look at where he is now.
This is. I mean, like New England. I mean, obviously nothing that he has now is prime Gronk. Nothing that he has now is prime Randy Moss. But my God, the collection of what he has. I mean, that's probably the best that he's had to throw to as a collective.
Yeah, as a collective. Like, sure, 2007 Randy Moss. And sure, 2007 Wes Welker. Sure, you had prime Gronk. Sure, as much of a horrible scumbag as he was, Aaron Hernandez. Of course, he had,
Edelman.
Deion Branch, Julian Edelman, but those guys weren't really.
It wasn't always there at the same time.
Talent. Yeah, that wasn't always there.
Okay. Well, when you say elite talents, you gotta specify those last couple guys, because Randy and Gronk, obviously.
Randy and Gronk, yeah, I know Randy and Gronk.
Generational talents.
Yeah, and guess who's still with Brady? Gronk.
Gronk, yep.
And Gronk's still there. Got him on my fantasy team. He's gonna be real good this year.
And
Brady start going to him a little more throughout the year. I think Gronk's going to be a bigger factor in this offense.
Don't forget, at the tight end position, they had a guy with 0 drops last year, Cameron Brate, steady hands, and O.J. Howard's coming back from an injury. So that tight end room is just great. They have
O.J. Howard coming off the bench, not too bad.
Yeah, and Brate had a really good playoff run too. He was the sure hand when they needed them.
Yeah. Cameron Brate's a guy you want on a playoff team.
Yeah, I guess, from gushing about how complete that offense is to gushing about how complete that defense is.
Dude, that defensive line. You got Shaq Barrett, Vita Vea, old Giants legend Jason Pierre-Paul. There's so many. Yeah, Ndamukong Suh's on that defense.
A young edge rusher, because JPP ain't gonna be going forever. Joe Tyron, and this guy's good, and he's not even gonna be starting.
He's gonna be coming in off the bench, dude. I tell you, it is just a complete roster from top to bottom. Let's get into record predictions. These guys
we missed. There's one. The Bucs are so complete. You forgot the linebackers in the secondary.
Oh, shit.
Oh, my God. I want to say this. This is my bold prediction. It's not too bold, but Vita Vea is going to be the best defender on the Buccaneers next year.
Fair.
Fair. At linebacker, Link, if you wanna say something there, we'll let you in on the fun.
Yeah, terrifying. It's terrifying how they kept about the entire band together. I don't think if I ever, Vegas is high on them winning back-to-back Super Bowls. I don't think I've ever seen, I don't know about y'all, but I don't think I've seen a team that we saw the Chiefs last year, or the Chiefs in their 2019 Super Bowl win. Okay, we met, they'll probably repeat the Super Bowl champions. But this is people are already putting the Bucs in the Super Bowl against someone. It's unbelievable how much they've managed to complete they paid the players they needed to. They kept the old talent. It's amazing.
Yeah,
how they've
it's
done this.
Crazy. And you were just going in specifically the linebacker group. Levante David, one of the 5 best linebackers in football. Devin White, a guy that he's an elite blitzer. He's a great tackler, great against the run, and in the play, he had problems in coverage. And granted, that's where Levante shines, and that's why the Warriors with White are kind of minimized. In the postseason, his ability in coverage went up a notch, and if that can sustain, he could surpass already a great Levante David to be the best linebacker on that roster.
And Devin White.
Yep.
I was real high, coming on real high into the draft.
Yeah.
On him, and crazy. I remember I wanted the Giants to pick him. I'm like, dude, this Devin White kid, he is it. This guy is the solution to a linebacker problem for any team. And the Bucs didn't really have a linebacker problem. They still took a flyer on him, and now he's an essential part of an already championship-winning team, and he's still young. He was only in his second season? He was only in his second season when he became one of the really good linebackers in all of football, and now he is he's ready to take that next step to not only be one of the best linebackers on his team, but one of the best linebackers in the sport itself.
Yeah. Then, of course, we have the corner and safety group. It's probably the least impressive part, but it's still impressive. There's no, I wouldn't say there isn't, a super outstanding talent, even with, Winfield, who's good. One of the great he's a great blitzer, too. Kind of reminds me of Jamal Adams in that way. But doesn't have the reputation, I would say, of, the coverage problems. I believe it's James White on his opposite number. And then the corner group, you have Jamal Dean. Trying to remember the other guy's name. I'm blanking on their corners. I know Jamal
Davis.
Carlton Davis, yes. And then they had what's his face too? Their third corner. He had a really good postseason. Sean Murphy Bunting.
Yeah.
Actually, I just looked at their depth chart. They have Murphy Bunting ahead of Jamal Dean, it looks like. Which, that's a little crazy to me. But, it happens. Obviously, the Bucs also have, William Golston, who we didn't really talk about, but he's a solid option in there. That defense, that is just super amazing. And a big credit to Todd Bowles, who inherited a mess and within 2 years cleaned it up and turned it into arguably the best defense in the league.
Talent-wise, that's a consensus among a lot of people.
And we talk about how great this team already is with current Tom Brady, who's still great. But imagine this team with prime Tom Brady.
Well, what are we defining as prime Tom Brady here? He's 40. He's 43.
Okay. Prime Tom. He's still I would say he's still in his prime to a certain degree. Okay, peak Tom Brady.
I just won a Super Bowl.
How about
peak Tom Brady? We're talking 2007.
Yeah, 2007 Tom Brady and 2014 Rob Gronkowski. Imagine that.
17
that would be cracked.
That's what I honestly
17-0. Hey, Brady went undefeated in 2007.
Oh boy, he's about to brag about it.
I am not gonna do that. I'm not gonna go
I'm
there.
joking.
All right,
but
hey. Hey, don't complain to me. Eli Manning's the reason that Tom Brady isn't walking around with 8 rings.
All right,
and I'll say this.
Prime
Or
time.
9 rings.
Oh my God, man! I'll say this about it's just about the coaching staff. Give credit to Bulls. I got to give credit to their offensive coordinator. His face. Oh my God! I'm just trying.
God damn, I'm blanking on this guy.
Oh my God! It's like at the top. He used to be quarterback for the Steelers. He struggled. Byron Leftwich. He struggled mid-season, but he really turned it around and play called masterfully in the postseason. And of course, the guy leading the operation, Bruce Arians. Like, what a masterclass! And there's no coach that I think, now that Andy Reid got his due, that I would have probably liked to see get his due more than Bruce Arians, and he finally got his ring. And so, big credit to Bruce there. But I guess for the record predictions, now that we've gushed over the Buccaneers for a good while now, just how good that team is. I'm going to go 14 wins, number 1 seed still.
Yep, 14 exactly. Exactly. Me too. 14 wins and the number 1 seed.
What are you thinking, Ely?
Well, I mean, yeah, this is about this. This is the same team they put out last year, and they ended up winning it all. I can't say right now, but I mean, like I said, I mean they are a big favorite for another Super Bowl victory. But yeah, let's just keep it simple. Let's not go into who we think is going to win the Super Bowl. I think this is going to be another year where they get the first round bye and a 14-win season.
Yeah, the expectation again. It's to repeat. That's the expectation for them. Of course, there's other teams that obviously feel the same way. Win the Super Bowl, the season's disappointing, but yeah, I guess.
Well, I can tell you one team that mindset probably isn't applied to, and that's a team that's just hoping to, just live through it, and that's the Atlanta Falcons. Because
beautiful transition.
Man, I was thinking of going to the Panthers, and I had something clever there, but yeah, I guess we'll go Falcons.
Let's just get this out of the way, man. I mean, that's gonna suck if the last team we gotta go off with is the painful Falcons, who are currently, the team everyone's watching this offseason, not for its transactions moves, but trust me, there's been much of that, but because there's an excellent 6-part series by John Boyce being made, and it just encapsulates the entire history of the Falcons and is the most painful thing to watch. But
it's a tough watch.
But hey, that may describe the Falcons this year. So I mean,
yeah,
big offseason moves for them.
Offense is still great, but Matt Ryan, he's declining a bit. I mean, he's still a steady arm to put up, good numbers, but the efficiency is dipping. The run game, you got to hope, gets an improvement with Mike Davis. The offensive line is solid, but we all know what the story of the Falcons is this offseason.
And also losing Julio Jones, that's a huge blow.
I was getting there. That's
Julio
the story.
Jones.
Julio Jones is gone, the legend, the best receiver to ever wear that jersey. And in comes Kyle Pitts. The versatile weapon, as everyone calls him. Let's be honest, he's a tight end that could go outside for some matchups.
Matchup nightmare, that guy.
Yeah. And so, you have a guy like Kyle Pitts coming in. Now, this offseason, I kind of ripped on that choice. There's still a chance maybe they can find their franchise guy, next year after, Maybe it was being a little harsh, You get a guy like Pitts, and a Fields isn't going to come around every so often. But instead of kind of dwelling on what they could have done this offseason, what I think they could have done better, I'm going to talk about the state that they've sent themselves in already. There's 2 ways this can go. They can... The hope that they're looking for is that Arthur Smith gives them a more balanced offense, but at the same time, Kyle Pitts is an absolute monster who can replace production Julio has, and he has Calvin Ridley's help. Took a little while to get around and talk about Calvin Ridley, but he's an absolute monster. Um, he had a great season last year. Put himself in some people's top 10 lists. And I think it's fair to say that the hope here is that, Ryan is going to have those weapons, and there's no question that he's going to have weapons to throw to. Hopefully for them, they'd see a bit of an uptick in Russell Gage's production. But I don't think there's any doubts here that the Falcons will bring quality offensive football to watch.
I mean, Matt Ryan, yes, is on the decline, but I think he'll be
I think
all
he's
right.
still solid.
Yeah, he'll be.
I just don't think, elite.
And with new head coach Arthur Smith, I mean, he helped a lot of developing the Titans offense into a beast. I mean, who says he could possibly do the same thing again with the Falcons? But I mean, he's going
to be in a very different situation. He does.
Yeah, because with the Titans, with them, it was more of a run-first offense. Like, you knew, that offense ran through Derrick Henry. And offenses don't really run through running backs that often. Well, not anymore, at least.
And the Falcons don't have the running back to make it run through. I think
they don't have Derrick Henry.
Yeah, but I do think Arthur Smith has a good offensive mind to know. Okay, the big reason why he used Derrick Henry because he knew what he had to work with. He knew that Derrick Henry was the man on that offensive side, and I think he's going to look at some guys like Calvin Ridley. He's going to be targeting Kyle Pitts, and he's going to be, okay, here's the plan. He's going to use it, and he's going to use what he knows to develop the offense. I mean, he has pieces to work with, but we'll have to see. This is his first year, and there may
It's also to be said that their new general manager, he was a scouting director for the Saints. He has a very good track record with drafting. Some questionable things in the moment, like Richie Grant over Trevon Merrick and whatnot. But, I mean, I did bash on him a bit before, but I have to, be honest here. Do I have a lot of questions of what the Falcons did this offseason? Yes. But is this a guy with a good track record in the past that can be trusted? Yeah, I think this is their new GM. He came over to the Saints. I think he's a guy that I can, in good faith, give him a chance because I like the track record. Of course, you also have their defense, which doesn't have a lot of optimism. In AJ Terrell, you're hoping for a big step forward for him at corner. They still have Vic Beasley as an edge rusher, but he hasn't been the same. Obviously, the stars of the show on that defense are Grady Jarrett, a great defensive tackle. Definitely, to me, one of the best 5 in the game. And Deion Jones, who's a great middle linebacker. Obviously, we'll talk more about them later. They're going to have to see how the safety position adjusts without Kazee and Keanu Neal, who followed Dan Quinn to Dallas. But I think it's fair to say that the defense for Atlanta is making a transition.
Yes, and it'll still, especially on the field, it's going to still look like in the transitional phase. But
yeah. So I guess now, if we have a record prediction to give them, where would you go at?
It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad.
I'm gonna
tell you the truth. Gonna be 100 with y'all. It's gonna be real bad.
I think they're gonna be a team that's better than their record. I think they should be a 6-7 win team, but I think they'll end up with 5.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be around 5 wins for them.
Where are you thinking you're like? I know you probably got more faith in them than us, just due to the Arthur Smith, but
don't worry, I don't, because there's still defensive issues that's
and they're still the Falcons.
And they're still, they're still the Falcons. They're still. I have them honestly as the worst team in the NFC South, and in terms of their record, I give them about 5 wins. Which, I mean, maybe it may sound generous because, I mean, I think their current projection is about 3 wins. But,
yeah, it's
Hey, I'll give him some good because I mean, I think Kyle Pitts is going to have a pretty good rookie year. I think he's going to be given the ball a lot.
He's expected to replace Julio, and
Yeah.
that's just not going to be easy.
Yeah,
But I mean, the good thing for him is that he's not alone in doing this. He has Ridley with him, and I expect that to be a dynamic duo. I guess we can kind of move from a team that's kind of taken more of a fall to a team that's trying to rebound and rise the ranks. Carolina Panthers. An off-season ambition. They clearly, from the start, looked like Teddy Bridgewater was only meant to be there for so long. They got Sam Darnold. The move, you can argue for it one way or another being short-sighted. Because I think at the time when they made the trade, there was a lot of reason to believe that they weren't getting a quarterback like Fields in the draft, because the perception until the Kyle Pitts to Atlanta stuff heated up and the trade happened before that was that the perception, I think, commonly was the fourth quarterback on the board after the Niners moved up that's going to run through Atlanta's pick one way or another. And the Falcons, like we talked about, they went with Kyle Pitts. And obviously Carolina didn't have an avenue to talk with them. They weren't going to deal with a division rival. So they made other attempts at quarterback. They were a team that was interested on Stafford. But they are here with Sam Darnold. And yes, maybe they could have made a way. As a matter of fact, they held off on picking up his fifth-year option until after the draft, likely thinking, okay, maybe this is like trade down leverage or something. But they stuck with it and took J.C. Horn, who I like a lot. Player that I was pretty pissed was taken before Dallas had the opportunity to get him. Definitely a very good prospect. I love press corners, and that's what Horn is. Amazing at jamming at the line. I'd also have to say, I mean, there's a lot to like about the team. They have upside, but there's some concerns. But I guess we could start with what to like. There's something very obvious to like. We were talking about running backs earlier. We talked about Mike Davis, and he was the understudy last year for Christian McCaffrey. And that's a guy that, Panthers fans are going to be happy to see back. The wideout group looks great. DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Curtis Samuel out the door, replaced by the Air Marshal, Terrence Marshall Jr. Then at the defensive side of the ball, you have Brian Burns and Derek Brown. Of course, continuing their development. Burns already one of the premier edges in the league. Brown had a solid rookie season. Then, of course, you have Jeremy Chin, who had a very impressive rookie year. And, I mean, of course, there's a lot to like in Carolina. Obviously, Sam Darnold, if he can break through. Obviously, there's some concerns about the way he plays. The way he plays may not fit well with the issues on that offensive line. They still have Morton, who's going to move over the left tackle, but the guard position isn't really solidified. John Miller, he's going to miss some games with COVID. He already in itself wasn't the most highly rated, and then now they're putting in Michael Jordan, the offensive lineman, infamous in that Joe Burrow play. And of course, at right tackle, you have Brady Christensen, a new pick that their front office clearly likes, but has extremely questionable measurables at the NFL level. His arms, they'd be like a T-Rex. Frank, if you kind of have anything with the Panthers, Cam, oh my God, I'm so used to calling you Frank here.
It's fine, but the Panthers are kind of they are really tough to gauge because Their coach, Matt Rule, I love him. He has that team ready to play every week, and they fought in a lot of their games. Like, they fought in games that they shouldn't have been fighting in. Like,
Oh
they
yeah,
did
they had
not
that
have the
really
talent
good
to be
game.
fighting
Yeah.
in those.
They had a couple really good games against like Kansas City and Tampa
But
Bay.
yeah,
I think.
like,
Well,
yeah,
there was one bad one against Tampa, but there was. I don't know if they kept
there was a really good one against Kansas City. I know what game you're talking about.
and Minnesota, yeah, and it was special teams in the end kind of cost them.
Like, yeah. Like, Darnold, I think at this point he's beyond saving. The Jets already did their worst to him. And he's just another quarterback that's bitten the dust at the hands of them. And
But never doubt Joe Brady, man. Look what he did in the past.
hey man, I mean, Darnold has talent. I liked him. I've always liked him. But it's just I don't know how salvageable he truly is.
This is an interesting little tidbit.
He's talented. I like him.
The Jets still like them. Apparently, if Zach Wilson wasn't an option for them, they would have stuck with him. I'm not even joking when I say that.
But the best thing for Darnold was honestly to get the hell out of New York as soon as he possibly could, because they were doing terribly with his development, and they just needed to scrub clean. But we're not talking about the Jets. We're talking about the Panthers.
Yeah, but like I said,
the Panthers, of course, they got Christian McCaffrey. They got the best running back in the league, plain and simple. They got good receivers. They have
Joe Brady,
questionable offensive linemen, but yeah, they have Joe Brady.
The guy that kind of was the coordinator of that LSU offense that I don't know.
But that LSU offense had gobs of talent.
Yeah, but he developed that talent, though.
Yeah. In college, it's more developmental, if anything. If you're,
and that's what they're hoping here with Carolina, that he can develop, Darnold, and he has one of his key weapons from LSU coming over, Terrence Marshall Jr. They actually screwed the Saints out of him. They traded down and picked him one pick before, and the Saints were apparently locked in on him.
Yeah, Saints were. Yeah, apparently they were pissed off.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just don't like the offensive line at all for the Panthers. I really don't like Christensen. That's my main concern.
You're gonna be honest. That's why I took Henry. Like playing fantasy, I had the pick. It was either McCaffrey or Henry, and I honestly picked Henry before him because I felt like the offensive line for the Titans was going to be more beneficial than what currently the Panthers are to McCaffrey. But don't get me wrong, I still think picking McCaffrey, period, in fantasy is an excellent choice because he's still going to have a very good year because he's still a very good back. Yes.
I was thinking the reverse. Like, when the pressure is on, Darnold's going to need to throw a panic check down, and no one better than McCaffrey to get it out to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A guy like Christian McCaffrey, that's the kind of guy that a scared quarterback kind of needs.
Yeah. So I guess for record predictions, where are we going here?
I say they're going to finish around like 6-7 wins, middle of the road. They're going to be in a lot of games. And I think these guys are, a couple years away. If the Darnold ends up hitting and they can go from there and not worry about the quarterback position in an upcoming draft, then I think these guys could be in a even better situation in a couple years. I like what they're doing over there.
Honestly, I'm good. I think that that's to me more of a worst case scenario, and I'm a little high on them. And I think they're gonna win. I put in my playoff predictor 9 games, but I also think 8 is pretty reasonable. I think they'll be around 500. They'll try to be in the hunt, but I just don't think they'll get it.
Yeah, they'll be in the hunt for sure. Like, and by week 15, we could be talking about a long shot playoff or by week 16 now. Like by week 16, we could be talking about a long shot playoff berth for the Panthers if this, and this happens. Like those kinds of teams are like, oh yeah, if this team loses out, this team loses out, and this team loses out, they'll be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think the Panthers are going to be in that kind of situation.
Actually, I'm kind of
Toward the
thinking
end
the
of the year.
reverse because I look at their schedule. They started off pretty easy, but it gets harder as it goes on.
Yeah, I mean, their last 4 games: Bills, Bucks, Saints, Bucks.
Those are gonna be tough.
Real tough.
So yeah, so I'm thinking, maybe they'll start hot and then cool off as the competition gets more stiff. So what's your record prediction for them playing?
I have them at about, they're gonna be they're the third best team in the NFC South at about 6 wins. Yeah.
All right. I can tell I'm higher on them than you are. I actually am on my playoff predictor. I mean, I like the Saints roster more, but the records probably due to schedule toughness. It ended up with them in second.
I haven't actually I remember that tidbit from their schedule. I haven't actually looked at the rest of theirs. Which I mean, I'm looking right now. It's
last week. If there's a good thing about having Tampa on the final week of the season, if Tampa has seeding wrapped up, that could be a winnable game. They need the spot on the line.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at their schedule. I mean, I thought it was a little bit more tougher from the last time I saw it, but now I look at it, it's like, well, I'll add 2 wins to that, give them about the 500 range.
Yeah. I guess now, that we've wrapped up with the South, let's turn east. And what better team to start in the East than a team that me and Cameron are absolutely enjoying the shit show that they're in right now. That, of course, being the Eagles.
Am I gonna have to be the unbiased person that'll have to, well, okay,
Yes.
you're being
Take the lead with the Eagles link. Let's hear your unbiased.
When I say unbiased, I'm not gonna give them any breaks because I mean, all right, so Doug Peterson's gone, which I mean, good for you. You won a Super Bowl, but I mean, not much else. We're now in the Hurts era, finally. Yes, it's happening. They're gonna give him a chance. Now, the team around him, will the team around him give him the chance? I mean, you still have Devonta Smith, Rodgers, Zach Ertz, and stuff like that on the offensive side.
Goddard might be on the way out now because they haven't come up to an extension. He wants one, but yeah. But
you still have some faces from that 2017 team that are on the offensive side of the ball.
Of course, the O-line too.
Yeah. And
God, I believe still have Peters and Kelsey. No, maybe Peters retired. I forgot which was the one that retired.
I think it was Kelsey.
Yeah, I know they also have Mattia and Dylan. They still have Brandon Brooks. So, yeah. And then they drafted what's-his-face from Alabama, Landon Dickerson. So, I mean, it could be a solid offensive line. It has the ability. Obviously, the big thing, I mean, we all expect a lot of Devontae Smith, I guess. Is Jalen Reagor going to start showing up? Defensive line they have is good. They have Graham. They have Fletcher Cox still, who's one of the premier interior defensive linemen in the league. Of course, the rest of the defense, I don't know if there's a lot of nice things I could say about it.
Yeah. They were one of the... I was a sour part about the Eagles last year was definitely defensive woes.
Yeah, Darius Slay, absolutely a disappointment.
I'm so broken up over Darius Slay completely blowing up in their face. I am so broken up over that. Aren't you broken up over that, Salt?
Oh, brother.
Man, I mean, I want to keep it unbiased, but yes.
Yes.
I mean, his last year in Detroit wasn't all that hot. I mean, they were just wooed that he had a good game against Amari Cooper, and yeah, it went more downhill. They lost Jalen Mills, of course. Um, and then of course with in that defense, man, I'm just thinking of that secondary and that linebacker. There's nothing I can point out that like overall is like impressing me. Um, I mean, even with Jalen Hurts, I'm all that impressed.
I mean, Fletcher Cox
Gardner
is
Min-
still around.
Yeah. No, I was talking more the linebacker than the secondary.
If you're talking about that.
Jalen Hurts, not too impressed. Gardner Minshew, I'm not too sold on him, either. As much as I want to be. It's not. But the Eagles could end up with 3 first-round picks this year, and I hate it.
Well, because it's time to give my chime in on the Eagles.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say right now, it's a 5-alarm fire. It is bad. And Link, when you said the Jalen Hurts era, I started laughing. Like I started wheezing. And I started keeling over my desk because that is who they are banking on. Now, Jalen Hurts, not a bad quarterback. He's talented. Like, he can run really well. He's going to be a pain in the ass for the Giants to deal with because I know how they work against running quarterbacks. But that Hurts is... I can't help but see him as a gimmick, I guess it was like the scenario they drafted him in, and I can't get that out of my head, but Hurts is... I don't think he's a franchise quarterback. And I know it's only his second year and I got to give him a chance, but I just can't with him.
I'm glad that they're giving him a fair shot. I don't think he's going to capitalize on it, but the Eagles are doing the right thing, giving him a chance. They have 3 first-round draft picks to work with anyways next year. The only thing that's worrying me is, from what I could tell, they are so in love with the idea of Deshaun Watson that apparently, this isn't confirmed, but speculation is that there's no trade clause, not the legal implications. It's what's holding them up from getting him, and that's kind of a scary thought.
That terrifies me.
That terrifies
the
me.
Giants seeing Deshaun Watson twice a year
I'm more
terrifies
terrified
me.
of what that means about fucking Howie Roseman. But yeah, to me this year, I think the Eagles, I'll go with the record, I think they're a 4-win ball club.
It's bad. Yeah, I'd say they're around 4 wins.
Yeah, you're right.
At least one of those is coming against the Giants. I know that.
Yeah, I agree. They're going to take one off the Jets too, because why not?
Well, they always beat the Giants.
They always beat the Jets.
Well, they beat the Jets, but the
Giants
Eagles,
is an
they
annual
always beat
thing,
the Giants. The Giants is an annual thing. The Giants, I don't think they've swept the Eagles since... Let me look back to a time where I know the Giants swept the Eagles.
You could just look up their rivalry, and then it'll tell you on Wikipedia all their meetings and whatnot. Go to the recent set, and then look for 2 in a row. But yeah, it's definitely the link is a harder place. Oh, the link's just here. Why do I have to have a share name with that stadium?
I don't know. Why can't you give me a better one to use?
But
The last time the Giants swept the Eagles was in 2007.
Holy moly!
Well,
it's a while. I mean, like Dallas.
2007.
Glad to know they'll at least get 1 win this year.
Dallas did it in 2018, and then Washington swept them this past season.
The Giants always had trouble. In the 2010s, the Eagles won the decade-long series 16-4. They swept They swept the season series against the Giants. 6 out of the 10 years in that decade.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, definitely a harder place to play away than given credit. But I guess speaking of the Giants, it's time.
We gotta go back. Unbiased. Let's get another unbiased team out of the way. The other one, before we have Thing 1 and Thing 2 over here.
That was such a perfect
Before Thing 1 and Thing 2 get all, ranzy about their football. So let's go ahead and talk about the Washington football team. The WFT, if you will, which last year made everyone go...
The Washington team of football. The WTF.
Man, we were almost going to go in the order of my predictions.
And people went WTF after last season's NFC East title at 6 wins. Even though
they won it with 7.
I thought, was it 7?
Games.
Okay, it was 7. Still under 500. And, had an entertaining playoff game.
That was the best game of the postseason.
Yeah.
My mind will not be changed.
Yeah. But
it was a fun little watch.
Yeah, we're now they signed.
I wish they weren't a division rival, not because I am a little worried. I am worried about them. More just because they're likable. Come on.
Yeah, they're a likable batch. I never had a problem with Washington.
Yeah.
But another quarterback change for Washington. It's Ryan Fitzpatrick. They're trying to squeeze the Fitz magic out of him and try to get back to the promised land, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Backed up by Taylor Heineke, the man that led that magical playoff game. I believe Kyle Allen is still with them as well, as Ron Rivera. Both of them were Panthers backups in the past. Ron Rivera took them with him.
They also managed to sign Adam Humphries to the deal, so he's going to be I think he's going to be at slot for the Washington football team.
And, with their weapons, I mean, they have some shiny weapons to play with now. Antonio Gibson, he's a great running back. He's on the rise, had a really nice rookie year. Jared McKissick, a nice receiving back option. They need to check down. Of course, at wide receiver, you mentioned Adam Humphries, but of course the star of that show and the star of the entire offensive show is Terry McLaurin.
Terry.
So yeah. So it's interesting to see. With Terry. And now he has more help. Of course, before it was a risk worth taking to try to double him, but now they added more weapons. Of course, before they had Logan Thomas, a very good tight end, but now they'll have Curtis Samuel as the number 2 wideout on the team, who has been a really solid number 2 wideout before, and just drafted Dynami Brown of North Carolina. He was the top weapon of that explosive UNC offense that had 4 weapons go to the draft, and being the top wideout on that team, he brings a lot of quality. But we all know, contrary to a team we talked about before, the Falcons, what the Washington football team, what they're gonna win games on the back of. That, of course, being that defensive line and just the defense as a whole. And that's Rivera's specialty. His coordinator, of course, Jack Del Rio, a former really good head coach, I'd say. I liked what he did with the Raiders. But where do you start talking about that defense other than Chase Young? It's expected that, he's already announced himself to the scene, but he'll take a next step and progress even further in his development. Opposite side of him being Montez Sweat, a great edge rusher. Probably in terms of just pure performance, was probably better than Chase Young last year, and that wasn't talked about enough. I think Young will obviously pass him up, but both of them young and developing. And then in the defensive interior, you have, of course, Darren Payne and Jonathan Allen. And that just group on that defensive line is an absolute nightmare to deal with. Then, of course, at the linebacker position, they had Bostic, but they beefed it up, getting their new field general, Jamin Davis. And at the secondary positions, they have Kendall Fuller, Mike Hilton. Of course, at the safety position, you have Landon Collins and a rookie 7th-round pick who starred for them, Cameron Curl. That roster on the defensive side of the ball is absolutely nightmarish.
And they just signed William Jackson III to a deal.
Oh boy!
So,
wait, no, was Mike Hilton the guy that? Wait, maybe I'm screwing up here. Maybe he left them and went to Bengals or Steelers. Maybe it was Jackson that they signed.
What?
I may have made the mistake.
No.
I know they signed a corner.
No.
It probably was William Jackson III. But
I don't
they have a good secondary group regardless.
I don't
Of course,
know.
The stars of that show is on the defensive line, the front seven. But that secondary group definitely deserves some more credit than due. But, you know, I think that's just I think there's just some quality on that defense all around. Von Rivera, really great head coach, fighter. I mean, it's awesome that he beat cancer. We'll see how that goes. They're going to look to defend that NFC East crown.
Yeah, I think they're going to fight hard to do it, but the question is, do we think that this is going to be a team that can manage to do this?
You know what? My record prediction for them, 10 wins. I'm going to give them 10.
Very bullish. Very bullish.
You know what? Like, maybe, you know, they're similar to the Saints, I think. But I think their schedule is more forgiving than the Saints is. Yeah, both had first place ones, but one's in the NFC East. The other's in the NFC South. And that's a very big difference. Like I said, but
okay, you can.
What are you giving them?
I gotta tell you that, like, sure, it's a good roster. Like you mentioned, the defensive line terrifies me. The skill positions are there, but we're all forgetting that this is a team that went 7-9 while having 6 games to feast on a dreadful NFC East. Like, and I'm not trying to discredit anything you're saying, but I think I should wait a bit for them to go out and
maybe
prove
visualize the offensive improvements or something.
I don't know. Ryan Fitzpatrick, love him. I would give so much to see him finally start a playoff game, but I see them winning around like 8 games. I see them winning around 8-9 games, like right in the middle of it.
By the way, I just want to interject before Link goes real quick. So yeah, Mike Hilton was the corner that signed for the Bengals. William Jackson was the one that left the Bengals for the football team. So yeah, that was a mistake of mine. But yeah, I just want to make sure that that's corrected. So Link, what are you having them at?
You know, last year I think their biggest problem, and I don't think y'all argue with me, definitely stability at the quarterback level. I mean, or at the quarterback position. I mean, they had to cycle through about 4, if I remember correctly, about 4 last year. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to provide some stability on that quarterback front, and they're going to win. I have them in a kind of in a similar boat to, like, I have a team like Carolina or New Orleans, just in the hunt. About 9 wins I'll give them for this year, give or take.
Yeah.
But I mean, now we've gotten the 2 NFC East teams that
Let's do
we
the
are not
Giants
all
first.
fans of. Now we'll talk about y'all's
Giants.
teams.
Giants are first. They
Giants
can
are
go
first.
ahead.
I'll
I'll let
handle
them.
this.
Not in my heart, of course. Just like I have them in third, but like we'll let them go first here, so they can go first in something. Okay, that was a funny joke, and it's gonna blow up in my face in like 10 months' time. No, that's way too long. It's like 5 months' time. But go ahead, Cameron. You can go off on the Giants here.
Okay, so the New York Football Giants are a very, very confusing bunch. On one hand, they added a lot this offseason, and I mean they added a lot. They got Kenny Galladay, big-bodied receiver, massive catch radius, who's a go-up-and-get-it kind of guy. No, the kind of guy that Daniel Jones needs to help him take that next step. And then in the draft, they went for a different kind of player, but still a needed guy. They went with the shifty, fast, and dynamic Kadarius Toney out of Florida. And like those are great ads. They also re-signed Leonard Williams, which is a move that I'm a big fan of. They went out and got Reggie Ragland from the Detroit Lions, who is very underrated when you kind of read between the lines and look at the really intricate numbers. He's actually pretty good. And they've already got some really good young players that are already there, especially on the defensive line. They got Lorenzo Carter, who has been due for a breakout season for the last 3 years. They have O'Shane Ximenez, who I've always liked. They got Azeez Ojulari from the draft. Oh my God, how could I forget about that? They got great value with him at 50th overall after trading back to get more draft capital. And the offensive line, granted, as shaky and as much shit as I give to them, and as loud and angry as I get about them, they're young and they have, as their ceiling is as high as their floor is low. They have Andrew Thomas, the 4th overall pick from last year's draft. Sure, as of right now, he has the short end of the stick of all the offensive tackles taken in the first round of the 2020 draft. But, he's got talent in the second half of last year. He, after the coaching change of the offensive line, he went in and he had a great second half, except for the one game where he was bullied and tossed like a salad by Myles Garrett. But other than that, he was playing on an injury. A second year from him, I'll have a little more clarity on how to feel about him. And, Will Hernandez, Shane Lemieux, Nick Gates, who's a really good center. They got Matt Pert, who has upside at the right tackle side, who for the life of me, I can't figure out why they didn't start him at all last year. But there's upside on the offensive line. I don't like that they didn't add to it in the draft or in free agency, especially considering that that's been a need for the last 10 years. But none of this matters if... I forgot to talk about the secondary. Oh, my God, the secondary. The best part of the team. You got James Bradbury, who broke out in spades last year as one of the NFL's elite corners last year. You got Adoree Jackson, who was a big free agent signing. And he's supposed to fill out that number 2 spot on the opposite side of Bradbury pretty well. And I think he could do a pretty good job. You got Darnay Holmes in the slot. Not to mention they also drafted Aaron Robinson in the 3rd round. Physical presence, a guy who has some good upside, who can kind of rotate in and out in the nickelback slot. You got the safeties. You got Jabril Peppers, who came over from the Odell Beckham trade. He's been pretty good with us so far. He's kind of become a fan favorite, and he's actually performed really well. And then Salt, I know you're not going to like this, but Logan Ryan, all the anger and memes aside, he has done a phenomenal job.
Yeah,
not only as a player, but as a leader. He's stepped up in many ways. He helped recruit a lot of free agents to come over here, selling them on Coach Joe Judge's vision.
anger and memes aside, I actually wanted him to sign for Dallas before, and if only they listened.
But none of this matters. And I mean absolutely none of this matters if Daniel Jones doesn't take that third step in his third year. Now, Jones, here's my honest opinion about him. While I'm thinking straight, I'm going to tell you this. The physical gifts are there. Mechanically, he's sound. In front of the camera, he handles himself perfectly. He throws a beautiful ball. He runs, but he doesn't automatically resort to running when his first read isn't there. The physical gifts are there. He has flashed so much talent in only a short couple years. And he has done stuff that has made me think, that's the guy right there. I want this guy leading my team into war in the playoffs. But he also makes some of the worst decisions I have ever seen a quarterback make. And I remember Giants fans would give Eli Manning so much crap for taking sacks when he should have extended a play. But Jones, he doesn't know when to take a sack or just give the play up. Like, he is forced so much. Now, the fumbles, and we'll say this, he did improve on the fumbles toward the end of last year. He did improve a lot on the fumbles. But the fumbles are still a concern. The ball security is arguably the most important thing, if not the most important thing, of being a quarterback in the NFL. And he makes some of the worst decisions I have seen. He forces the ball into triple coverage. In a preseason game, he literally forced the ball into triple coverage when his receiver wasn't even remotely open. And he didn't even throw it up as a jump ball. He kind of threw like a little bullet. But when he makes those decisions, that makes me think, oh my God, get this guy out of this city immediately. On the next drive, he'll throw a rainbow. Just a rainbow to somebody, and he'll have me thinking the opposite. But with Jones, if he fixes these problems, I believe he could become a very good quarterback. Not an elite quarterback. No, Daniel Jones has never been thought of as an elite quarterback, even as very, very, very tip-top ceiling coming out of the draft. But Jones could be a guy that could be a very valuable part of a playoff team. And if Jones cleans up the mistakes, he could very well become that, but he has to clean up the mistakes. And what sucks about the mistakes is it's not something that you can coach away. It's all mental, it's all instinctive. As someone once said, you can't fix stupid. And that's what Daniel Jones is. He can just be downright stupid at times when he makes these bad throws. But the Giants, they're a good roster with questions at the quarterback position, granted. Well, less questions than some other teams, but
offensive line as well.
Yes, offensive line, a lot of questions there, but a team with a lot of upside, but a lot of downside. Like, this team has such a range.
The opposite of Washington in some ways.
Yeah, where Washington is kind of gridlocked into like an area where they are. It's like, they're not going to be world beaters, but they're not going to be bad. Like, they're going to be competitive in every game they play. And meanwhile, the Giants, it is this team I kid you not, this team could either win the division or get a top 5 pick. That is the range that we are talking with the Giants here. Yeah, and it all depends on that guy at quarterback.
I was thinking, makes that step. With Jones, I was trying to say, we're talking about Jameis Winston. Jones is similar in some regards to Jameis.
Less upside. He's Jameis Winston, but overall less, because the upside is less, but the downside is less. As well.
I agree. I mean, he's more mobile than Jameis too. I think
Jones runs like a deer.
Yeah.
He has a top speed like faster than Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Granted, he's not overall faster than Lamar Jackson, but the dude still runs like a deer.
What was his 40? That's like interesting for me.
His 40 wasn't even that fast.
That's so he just got faster in the NFL.
Yeah, hey, don't skip leg day. Came in with the
but I'm thinking here. So we let you go. I might go straight to predictions unless Link has anything to say.
4.67 on his 40, by the way.
No, I ain't got.
Okay. I just don't trust. So Daniel Jones thrives best. You'd agree on a simple deep concept. And the big thing with having a deep ball work is that you need your offensive line. Now, obviously, you want to get the ball out in less than 3 seconds, but you need your offensive line to get 1.5 to 2, at the least. So, ideally more. But like for a deep ball, you want that time to be comfortable, like very, very comfortable. And I just don't think the Giants are going to be able to. Their offensive line is going to let Daniel Jones play his best football. And so my prediction is I think they're going to win 7 games this year. I think Jones will improve. I think he'll earn himself another season. But I don't think he's going to earn himself the long-term extension yet.
If I could pick a win prediction for the Giants, I shit you not, it is anywhere from 3 to 11. We are talking about a 8-game. I can't predict it. It is like, I guess if I could go with the prediction, I would go with 7-10, like around 7 wins, like you said. Although I've always had kind of a cynical viewpoint when it comes to my own teams. Like if you listen to if you've heard my podcast, I always go in on my teams. Like I always yell at them. So I have a cynical viewpoint on my teams. 7, I could see them winning 8 games. I want to bump that up to 8 games because part of me thinks the talent is too much for them to lose double-digit games for the 5th year in a row. But the 10 losses seems realistic. It is.
Yeah, the old 7-9 mark would have fit way more than 7.
Yeah, the 7-9 would have fit a lot more than 7-10.
Yeah. What are you thinking here, like?
That's just how it is. Saquon is coming back.
Forgot to mention that.
Yeah.
How do you forget Saquon?
Now, how the hell do I forget Saquon coming? I don't know. He's just been such an afterthought. Like the last 2 years he's been hurt, I guess I just kind of forgot about him. Like, oh my god, I'm such a bad Giants fan. Yeah, Saquon's coming back. Daniel Jones has put up way better numbers. I think he has a passer rating of 92 when Saquon's on the field. And with the read option,
he's a real red zone threat. Yeah.
Yeah, and also in Kenny Galladay, the red zone threat. But with Barkley there,
injury concerns,
yeah, the injury concerns are there. And a concern that I have is that he might not come back to that 2018 level in his rookie year, where he could go and put up those big numbers, and I'm scared of that.
But he also could. He's Saquon.
Yeah, he could. Yeah, he's Saquon Barkley. If anybody that can do it, it's him. But yeah, I'm just if everybody stays healthy, which I know it isn't going to happen, there's going to be injuries along the way, but if the key cogs stay healthy and Jones progresses, I could see his team doing some good stuff. But as of right now, I can only pin them at 7 wins.
So what are you thinking here, Wayne?
You would for a Giants fan? Yeah. If I was a Giants fan, I'd put them at 7 wins. You got some concerns at offensive line. I don't think the pass rush on defense is really that great, if you ask me.
I like the inside a lot, but the outside could be better.
Yeah. But, hey, that's just how it is. But we'll see how Daniel Jones has this year. Or has a good year. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. I guess it's time. The thing that I've been looking for. Where I become insufferable as hell. Where I give the best case scenario in all cases. The Dallas Cowboys. the team that's been, in my heart, not in reality, in my heart has been robbed of the Super Bowl the last 5, 6 years in a row, man. Like, come on. There's always something. But jokes aside, we're better to start with the Cowboys than the return of the hero, the icon, the legend, Rain Dakota Prescott. The man that's captured the hearts of the entire fandom over the last few years. I mean, what is there to say about Dak Prescott that I haven't said already? Well, to be fair, I haven't gone in, and talked about him too much on here. So I guess this is finally my chance. And as Lincoln Cameron would know, I am, extremely, I guess I'll put it, in love with this play on the field, right? I mean, so Dak is one of the most impactful quarterbacks out there. I put a writing piece out there on, the Salty Sports Show, it's like an article website. So, we can, it's on our Twitter account, the link. But he is, to me, and this is a spicy take, I don't think it should be, to me, he's one of the best 5 to throw the ball in the league. His ability to thread the needle is insane. It's highlights that you would expect out of Mahomes. His deep ball has improved and is great. On the intermediate throws, he's pinpoint. On the short throws, of course, you can rely on him for those. His impact on the game, I mean, this is a guy that when he's been playing, the Cowboys have had top 5 offenses when he's on the field. They were 5th in scoring, I believe, when he was in the 2019 season per game. When he was healthy, they were 1st in scoring per game. Not the biggest sample size, probably wouldn't have lasted as 1st, but would have remained in the top 5, maybe even 3. And when he was out of the games, they were below average. They were 25th in scoring with a combination of Andy Dalton, Ben DiNucci, and Garrett Gilbert starting. That is how absolutely impactful he is on the field. In terms of what he has to throw to, Amari Cooper is always a reliable weapon who improves his hands and is, in my opinion, the dirtiest route runner in the game. As a matter of fact, he had a really nice route in a practice rep. And he went on Instagram to critique himself and say it wasn't good enough. The standard that he holds himself to is amazing. CeeDee Lamb, I mean, he was having a great year. Dak got hurt and his production dipped, but he's still capable of putting up great numbers. He's playing out the slot. On the opposite side, on the outside, the Cowboys got Michael Gallup, a great deep ball threat. Of course, the tight ends catching the ball, Blake Jarwin and Dalton Schultz, they aren't anything special, but they're going to thrive on the spacing that they're going to be blessed with just by having 2 insane receivers and 1 very good one. On the offensive line, it sucks that Zach Martin is going to miss the opening game, but we have him, Tyron Smith is back, and La'el Collins is back. We have some other bit of quality. I'm really hoping from a step up for Tyler Biadasz. Connor Williams had a really good season. This is his contract year, so I can expect even further progression. Of course, the running game. Ezekiel Elliott's the headline. He had a down year. The hope is that, he'll be more in the shape. He'll play much better. He'll be more elusive. He won't fumble the ball as much. And if Zeke doesn't have it, I mean, Tony Pollard is extremely talented and was one of the best in the league in yards per carry and is a great second back to have. I have no doubt in this mind, if this offense is healthy and clicking, that it can be one of the best out there. It can be that scoring offense that it was for a few games where it was putting up 30 points a game. Maybe not quite that, but it can be special. So where are the problems? There's 2 of them. there's the concerns with the coaching, which, from what I could tell, McCarthy is taking a step back from play calling, and Mike Nolan, the worst defensive coordinator in football, and I mean this, he was the worst defensive coordinator in football, is out the door, and in comes Dan Quinn, a man whose spell as a head coach isn't the best. Of course, 28-3 will always be a haunting point, but as a defensive coordinator, his record is stellar. I mean, he was a big part of the Legion of Boom developing, and the Cowboys have had success plucking coaches from that Seahawks defensive era. I mean, they had I'm forgetting his name, but he was our defensive backs coach. He was a DC in Seattle for a bit. He was also a defensive backs coach during that Legion of Boom era. Quinn was the DC of that era, and it really shows in our draft picks Dan Quinn's influence and taking from the Legion of Boom. I'm not saying these players will be as good, but you can see the influence ringing on Quinn. To start with the defense, though, I mean, you have to start with DeMarcus Lawrence, a man that sack production-wise hasn't been what he was for a couple 2017 and 18 seasons, but still has a lot of quality in him. Opposite of him is Randy Gregory, a guy that we're hoping can stay on the field, because when he's on the field, he's good. And we've kept him around because, yes, he gets thrown, he has suspensions a lot, but he's always efficient, and he's never going to be in the situation to demand a lot of money. The interior is probably our weakest position. Neville Gallimore, a guy that was making big progress in camp, is going to miss the start of the season. Looks like we're going to have Osa, a third-round pick, go out at defensive tackle in the interior. Hopefully not Tristan Hill is going to get snaps, because that is a nightmare, and that is not something I can deal with. The linebacker position, new draftee Micah Parsons. It was tough for me to accept the pick at first because I wanted, a corner. A corner was, at the moment, the biggest thing that we needed. Say it's defensive tackle now. But Parsons beefs up the linebacker group. He'll be playing the Mike linebacker role. Lots of great tape from him in the preseason. High expectations will be had for him. Hopefully Vander Esch will be healthy and have a resurgence. And the other couple linebacking acquisitions, Keanu Neal, expected to play white outside linebacker. A bit of a departure from the strong safety position that he played with the Falcons, familiar with Dan Quinn's system. So while it is the difference, it shouldn't be too much of one, playing with a guy that he's familiar with. And, Dan Quinn's a guy that I think players want to play for, and that's what I like. I don't think players wanted to play for Nolan. They didn't buy into what Nolan was doing. They're buying into what Dan Quinn is doing, and that's big. Of course, Jabril Cox, this is a guy that he can be an elite coverage linebacker, which is something that we really need. On those passing downs, you sub Coxon. You need him to help in the deal with middle of the field. That's a big one, and that's going to help because Parsons is learning the middle linebacker position. He needs to improve in zone coverage. He's a recent convert from edge rusher, and so a guy like Cox who can help with his cover for what Parsons will be developing in over the next couple of years, because Parsons has shown that he has good instincts there. He just needs to learn, and a guy like Cox is perfect cover, and that's a dynamic duo that could be great in the future. Of course, then you get to the secondary. That's going to be led by Trayvon Diggs, second-year rookie who had an impressive rookie season. On his opposite side, he's going to start the year hurt. Kelvin Joseph, I'm kind of pissed that he's going to miss the Eagles game because his best performance of the 2020 college football season was, yes, Devontae Smith torched Kentucky, but when Joseph was the man that was taking on Devontae wasn't able to get a reception on him. 0 for 3, Joseph got a pick. So that was that is something to look forward to. Diggs, he's a big guy. He's a big physical presence. He can bully. Joseph has, I would say, he's more of an athletic freak. He's a lot faster, not as quite as big, but he can catch. He can definitely play catch up with some of the faster receivers that we're gonna have to be dealing with this season. So it's going to be nice seeing how he'll progress. The Cowboys took Deshaun Wright, and we're going to hope for a lot out of him. That was a bit of a weird third round with him and Golston, the defensive lineman that's probably going to rotate in. Seems like a good fit for the Dan Quinn system, but Wright, I think they're looking for, with him and Joseph, they're looking a lot at Richard Sherman. But Wright doesn't have the same physical gifts that Joseph has. More or less, they're looking at like a tall guy. I mean, that's kind of what stands out about him. What made the pick somewhat baffling. But he's looked really good in camp. So that's something to hope for. The safety position is looking a lot better this year. Of course, the free safety battle, I'm not sure who's been confirmed yet to be started on the depth chart. We have Malik Hooker and DeMonte Kazee, as well as Jameer Kearse is a safety valve, no pun intended. Of course, Donovan Wilson at strong safety. And I like the safety group. There's upside to it, because if Kazee can stay on the field, if Hooker especially can stay on the field, that would be a big boost. If Malik Hooker can be healthy, I mean, that's a boost in the safety production. That could be a guy that can get a big long-term deal after this season. Hopefully with us, if he's healthy. Could be elsewhere potentially. But with the Cowboys, the hope is that defense, it's not going to turn it around overnight. It's not going to go from the atrocity that was Mike Nolan's defense to a special one. Dan Quinn being the new defensive coordinator, Jalen Smith not getting as many snaps, the impacts of Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs getting another year in development, having Randy Gregory, hopefully the interior not being as awful. We're hoping that the defense can at least not be one of the 5 worst in the league. Maybe it will be, below average, but we're hoping that it can at least put up some good stands. And that's something that you got to hope for. And that's going to be the decider, because there's no doubt in my mind that what Dak Prescott can do is that he can lead a team to be in position to make the playoffs. What matters now is that the rest of the roster seizes on what he does. And, yeah, I mean, I guess that's all I really have with the Cowboys. I guess we can do a record prediction. I did it on Playoff Predictor. I put us at 12-5, but that's a very optimistic one. With the coaching staff and the defense, there are a lot of games that I have us win that can go wrong. But there's a lot of hope, and that's where I'm going. If anyone wants to shoot theirs next, go ahead.
As you said, I think you nailed everything good about the Cowboys. They got Dak Prescott, who's one of the best in the trade. You got the offense, high octane. They're a nuclear reactor when they're going.
Yeah.
And, the defense, guys with upside. The Cowboys, they are set up. They're set up real good.
What's a state-of-the-art nuclear reactor facility? I just need a name of one.
Not Chernobyl.
That's what I was trying to think. That's like the offensive.
Wait, that's not. No, hold on. Well, you
Defense is
shouldn't.
Chernobyl.
Don't use that. I wouldn't use that if I were you.
Why? Because Chernobyl was explosive and the Cowboys' offense is explosive.
No, because a traumatic event happened that left a big exclusion zone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let's hope
Fair
that.
enough.
Let's hope that not. Let's hope that not. That doesn't happen.
That's a shitty comparison. Why did you put that in my? Whatever.
But
I will just say that the Cowboys' offense is explosive in a good way, and the defense can let up explosive plays in a bad way.
I have the Cowboys, in terms of win differential, the most improved team from last season. Prescott going down, really hurt that team's morale.
Yeah, I think we would be looking at trying to defend the division if he was healthy.
Yeah,
Most likely.
yeah. Anyways, where I have the Cowboys, I have them at 10-7. I have them winning the NFC East. That is just plain and simple. I'm not as high on them as Salt because the offense, while it is, as I said, a nuclear reactor, they are on the defensive side of the ball. There's going to be just as much action, and it's not going to be good action. So the Cowboys, they got Micah Parsons, who I was really high on the Giants taking. And then when they passed on him, I was kind of bummed. And then the Cowboys got him. I'm like, oh, this guy's going to be a nightmare to deal with. But like, other than that, I don't really see a championship caliber defense there. Not yet, really.
Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the
Like,
defense is back, but
like if
I don't
they,
think it will be atrocious.
I don't think it'll be atrocious, but I don't think it'll be enough to
Win.
like.
I understand.
I don't think it'll be enough to make you a Super Bowl contender. Like, sure, 10-7.
There's going to be a couple
Like,
games.
again,
where...
10-6 would have suited this team so much better. Again, this goddamn 17-game schedule.
Yeah. So, Link, did you say what you were having us at? Or?
I have them as NFC East champions. I have them at about 10 wins, 11 wins. Like I said, the defense is probably going to make all these football games. Not to try to jinx anything, but if Prescott does go down, you don't get Dalton as a replacement. You get Garrett Gilbert. So
actually, it's Chris. It's like something Greer now. Which, yeah, we're fucked if Dak is hurt again. But let's just hope that he's not.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna.
But yeah.
Or you got Ben DiNucci.
He's on the practice squad actually.
Damn.
But yeah,
Italian
I guess
icon gone to waste.
That's what the East. Oh boy. So we've been spending a lot of time. So we might, even though the West might be the most interesting, we might have to zoom. I guess
we're gonna have to.
Let's start with the team that finished last, but might have the ambition and the ability to go all the way back to the top, the 49ers.
Lot of talent.
Lot of talent. Link, since we kind of since me and Cameron just really went on with our teams, we'll let you go. Well, what do you have to say about the Niners?
The Niners definitely last year were a bit of a disappointment after that Super Bowl run they went on in 2019. You got a big question is at the quarterback position. Trey Lance and then Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, are going to be. I'm not sure how it works out. I haven't read anything about the Niners' current situation there with that. But that's going to be a thing to watch out for in terms of the Niners. Just an interesting thing with their offense. I'm sorry. But most of their team is about intact. If I recall correctly about the 49ers. And hopefully they have a good a turnaround this year, because I think last year was a pretty sour note because you follow up a Super Bowl appearance with being last in your division. That's nothing to be happy about.
Yeah.
But
I'm just thinking about with the with the Niners, and it's like, so obviously that complete roster that they had in that Super Bowl run, it's back and it's healthy. I mean, Richard Sherman isn't returning, but they still have Ward, safety group. Obviously the D-line is still insane. I mean, DeForest Buckner isn't there anymore, but I mean, Nick Bosa, of course, he's the star of that show. Javon Kinlaw is a guy that obviously you're going to expect a lot out of him. They still have D Ford, who had that infamous play, but he still brings a lot of quality. Eric Armstead, he's great. So, with the Niners, that defensive line, to me, we talked about Washington's being insane. I mean, the Niners also have one that, Kinlaw is going to need to develop more to get to that Washington football team defensive line level, or even, the 2019 Super Bowl run level. But it's doable. And then something that the Niners have that I think no other team can, claim the luxury of is the best linebacker in the league in Fred Warner. I mean, that defensive unit to me is monstrous. But I think there's no doubts about that defense if it's healthy. The question mark here is, of course, the offense. I mean, George Kittle, he's going to be healthy and great. Fine. We know what that healthy offensive line can bring with Felici, and of course, a headline now being Trent Williams, which is a very big add. But the big thing is now, is Brandon Ayuk going to break out? Is Deebo Samuel going to break out? What's going to happen at running back? Is Mostert going to stay healthy? Is Trey Sermon going to do great? And then the big controversy, of course, is the quarterback position. And for some, it's going to be Jimmy Garoppolo. Well, Lance learns the system. Lance develops under Shanahan. To others, it's like we've seen what Lance could do in the preseason. It wasn't the most impressive overall showing, but we've seen him drop some amazing throws, and that talent should just shine. We should let it shine. And I mean, I'd like to hear what you guys are kind of thinking. Lance or Garoppolo?
You can't rush. Art. I think to start the year, they got to go with Garoppolo. Plain and simple. Garoppolo won't win them games, but he also won't downright kill them.
Yeah.
So it's not like they have to go to Trey Lance in order to win football games. They can win football games with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, and they have the offense around him to just do well. I mean, like I said, that offensive line. And I'll say this: I'm a believer that Brandon Ayuk is going to announce himself on the stage more than people think he will. I think he's going to have an amazing season.
Yeah, you're big on him.
I've taken him in a lot of fantasy leagues. I think he's going to be great.
Yeah, you got a lot of stock in him, so.
Yeah. I think Deebo can still be dynamic. Obviously, the big thing is George Kittle being back. And, I mean, George Kittle is going to be effective no matter who's his quarterback. So, yeah. I mean, to me, look, I don't think they should rush Trey Lance. But I think as soon as Trey Lance is, they feel confident in him being, completely ready, they should 100% put him in the game. Or in general. And they should, they definitely should give him the garbage time ball, just to see where he's at. But I guess that's my thoughts on the Niners. So where are we going with a record prediction?
I actually have it in front of me right here. 10-7 in the 6th seed.
13.
I have them making the playoffs.
13 wins and the number.
Whoa, that's
big on them.
You're big. You're going big on them.
Big on the Niners, baby. I was last year. I was last year. I don't regret it.
Dude, to a Cowboys fan 20 years ago, that's asinine, by the way.
I wasn't born when that rivalry.
Yeah, you weren't born when that. Yeah, I get it.
I'm big on them. I think they're going to be a really nice team. Man, imagine the current core with a fully developed Trey Lance.
That is going to be chills. Dude.
Honestly, that team can beat a fully developed Trey Lance. And then, okay, this is a hot take, and this isn't going to apply to this season. But if this Niners team being fully healthy and aging decently well in the next few years, and a fully developed Trey Lance is the most complete team in football.
Oof!
Give me third-degree burns with that hot take.
We were just talking about the Buccaneers being the most complete team now. Hold on.
I think they are for now. But I'm just saying, fully developed Trey Lance. I'm not saying he will be fully developed. That's to be seen. Hopefully he is, because I want to watch some nice football. But, yeah, that's my hot take for the Niners. All right, so what are you giving them for the record length?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be improvement because there shouldn't be. I mean, last year they had lots of injuries, and that kind of hurt them. But with how the NFC West is shifting, I think it's gonna be a big battle for the NFC West crown. They're gonna have a lot of really tough games to play. I think they're gonna lose a lot of really tough games and hard-fought games. I have them at 11 wins.
All right, understandable. I could also have them with 12. I'm trying to remember where my playoff predictor is. I'm trying to find it. It's either okay. Actually, yeah, I gave them 13. Okay, I'm just trying to confirm. All right. I guess now we can move on from the Niners. And why not, go from a team that's, a team that is a big rival of theirs, and while they were the NFC West champions, they're more just trying to retain the crown and fight, the big improvements that the other teams have made. And that's the Seahawks.
What I mean, there's not really much that you can say about them. They got Russell Wilson, one of the best in the league. They got DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. They got the good defense to boot. And Pete Carroll, level head on. Well, I don't know.
I wouldn't. That was a bad defense last year. That's the thing I'm worried about.
Okay. Well, I don't know. From my perspective, over the. The nostalgia of the Legion of Boom hasn't quite worn off from me just yet.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Well, I guess maybe, like Pete Carroll, solid head on his shoulders to boot. They're really, really good. They can go out there, they can win games, they can take care of business. That is a football team that I can trust.
That's the thing. They always give their fans heart attacks in the process, though. They never can win. They can just never. They never can blow it. They can never blow a team out. It's like
except
weird.
The Jets, but
like which,
I mean, they go in, they win. Blue chip football team.
Speaking of
that's what the Seahawks are.
Speaking of which, Jamal Adams. I mean, you got to hope for some improvement in coverage, but in terms of blitzing,
he's
great.
He's a heat-seeking missile. That guy. Missile.
He has that amazing sideline-to-sideline speed. But there isn't really much else to talk about. I mean, I think the Seahawks might have arguably some of the worst trenches in football. And that's applying to both sides. I mean, their defensive line has some quality, and there's some quality on the O-line. I think maybe how bad it is can be exaggerated, but I think both of those units could still use some star power, even though you don't associate star power with the Lions.
On the Seahawks, it's always been about the perimeters.
Yeah,
in terms of star power.
It's going to be interesting, but I think Russell Wilson's a good enough quarterback to make him a playoff team. I think without him, that guy. That foundation is poof.
Not good enough. That foundation. I know I just called them a blue chip football team, and how they just go in and win games. That is because of Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
If Russell Wilson is not there, then he's the Jenga block that the entire tower just rests on. And the moment you pull him out, then it all just goes to waste. And I know this is like a really sickening thing to say, but and I know this is really fucked up, but it would be interesting to see if Russell Wilson got hurt just for like a few games, and to see how it would fall apart. Just like, and I'm not wishing injury on the guy. I'm just saying it would be from a analysis standpoint, it would be kind of interesting to see. And I know it's really bad to say, and I don't want to put that evil on any of you, but I mean, it would be kind of interesting to see.
All right.
Uh,
Well,
What? What? You're gonna tell me that I'm wrong? What?
a big help, like a big. That's kind of what kind of sucks about the
let's leave it to the let's just leave it to instead
The
of him getting
football
traded
god.
or something, and then seeing that team. I guess just I don't know.
It's a big hurt for the Seahawks, especially like what you're talking about on the trenches. I mean, Alden Smith was gonna be a Seahawk, and then he wasn't. He's now not a Seahawk. He got cut, so that kind of sucks for that. Other than that, where do we see the Seahawks right now? I think last year there were 12 wins, right?
I think they won they were like.
I think they went 12-4. I think
Okay,
they went
12
12-4. Yeah, they went 12-4.
Yeah.
Really unconvincing 12-4, but still 12-4.
Well, okay, if
Yeah,
it was
I mean,
unconvincing,
more
where do we?
early when Russ was like performing, but okay, yeah, and they lost to the Rams in the wild card. That's why it felt like they were worse because they lost the wild card game.
Yeah.
You don't really associate 12-4 with wild card exits, but I guess now that the bye is only for the 1 seed, that association, the memory will change. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna say the Seahawks will go 11-6, and I actually think that suits them. I think that suits them.
Yeah, same with me. 11-6.
This is where the right schedule change actually helped. I think they're too good to not. I think Russell Wilson's too good to not win 11, but their roster isn't only gonna lose 5. 11-6 works in the head. Where are you
Yeah, I'd
going
say
with?
so. I think they're gonna tie the Niners at 11 wins. Where to put them? I think the NFC. If you want me, my opinion, the NFC West will not have a guaranteed. It will be off a tiebreaker.
Yeah,
So that's where I have
Speaking
the
of-
Seahawks. So
yeah. And you said you'd agree with my placement, Frank, 11.
Yeah, 11-6. That's where I have them. They're the 5s.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I guess from
5.
one bird team to the next, the Cardinals are definitely under a lot of pressure this year. Kyler doesn't have much time left on that rookie deal, and that's the prime opportunity to win. And Cliff Kingsbury isn't doing them favors. I guess that's the simple way to put it.
he's another coach that's on the he's on the hot seat.
Hot seat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if they fail to make the playoffs, I think his job that's his job. I think he's
Yeah.
out. Of the
That's
NFL from there. He'll go back to coaching college probably or something.
Yeah.
But the Cliff Kingsbury experiment, it worked in the fact that it brought Kyler Murray to the team, but it didn't work in the fact of his actual coaching performance separate from it.
I mean, it made Kyler Murray a very dynamic player, but
He was going to be a dynamic player.
he was going to be a dynamic player regardless. But you got to think that Cliff Kingsbury's kind of Big 12 philosophy. You figured it helped him. Yeah.
With the transition, sure. But
Yeah.
I just think that, Kingsbury's under pressure. And then in terms of weapons, I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is great. They've kind of decided that Christian Kirk isn't really good enough as a wide receiver number 2, and I agree with the decision. And they went out and got Rondale Moore, a really dynamic little guy, but a really dynamic one nonetheless. And even though he's not that big, he's strong. He's really strong, and not to mention his blazing speed. In a lot of ways, maybe this isn't the best comparison in the world. It's like you shrink DK Metcalf down almost. Obviously, I don't think he'll be quite as good, but just like the physical profile, in a way, like a really strong, fast receiver, but obviously a lot shorter. Running back, it's going to be interesting to see. They didn't like what they saw from Kenyon Drake, so Chase Edmonds looks like he's going to be their starter. Their second back's going to be James Conner, so that'll be an interesting duo. Offensive line, they got a center from the Raiders. Trying to remember, what was his name again?
Oh, God, I forgot. And he's really good.
Really good, but I'm blanking on his name.
Yeah, I'm blanking on him.
Cardinals center. Let's see.
The moment you say the name, a light bulb's going to go off.
Yeah, it was the one the Raiders couldn't afford. Their center,
Rodney Hudson.
Yep.
Rodney
That
Hudson.
man.
He's really good, man. That's a big pickup for them. They need to improve that protection for Kyler. Obviously, I mean, to me, and then obviously, on the defensive side of the ball, they have a really good group of linebackers. Isaiah Simmons, I mean, if he can get utilized better, he'll do well. They brought in Zaven Collins, who's a great talent. Defensive edges, if Chandler Parsons plays, I don't think he's holding out. I could be wrong. And J.J. Watt, that's a great duo off the edge.
Chandler Parsons.
Wait, did I
Chandler Jones.
Chandler Jones. I hate myself right now. I'm thinking of an NBA player.
I thought you were mixing up him and Micah Parsons.
No, I was thinking of the NBA. There's an NBA player there. Yeah, Chandler Jones. Wow, dude, he's such a good player. All these good players on the Cardinals, and I'm messing their names up, man. Like, I apologize.
Well, the Cardinals.
The Cardinals. This is like the second time that I mixed them up because I was like Mike Hilton and I said Mike Hilton and he was the guy that left the Bengals, joined the Bengals, not left them. For William Jackson, Washington. That was the guy I meant to name. And then with this, I said Chandler. No, it was Chandler Jones. Oh my God! But Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt's a good duo. I mean, Hassan Reddick departed, which was really good sack production. You're hoping. I'm not too sure about their inside. I don't like the corner group, but they do have a great safety in Budda Baker. But with the corners, a lot of young guys that they're going to rely on, like Tay Gowan, Shoeman, Marco Wilson. They've signed someone that was the Patriots before. I'm trying to remember who it was. So, like Logan, I think it was Malcolm Butler. Yeah, I think they signed Malcolm Butler. I could be wrong. So there's some, potential with the corner group, but I just don't like it too much, So we'll see what happens with them, but I guess we'll go on, with record predictions. What are we thinking here?
But the Cardinals, I don't really know what to say about them, really. Just their mediocrity. I think they're mediocre. I think they're going to win. God, dude, this would be the perfect 8-8, but there's no such thing as 8-8 anymore, which bugs me so much that I just hate the 17-game schedule. But
that's fair. I mean,
we have to work around that.
Yeah,
I didn't see enough improvements. Sure, I'm probably underrating J.J. Watt so much, but I see them winning like 9 games. 9 games going 9-8.
Maybe Reddick had a good year.
I see them losing out in the tiebreaker to New Orleans for the 7th seed.
Maybe Hassan Reddick had a career year, and that won't be sustained production from him, but you still have to replace his production from the previous year, the next one, and that's going to be a tall task.
Yeah.
And I forgot to mention him for the Panthers part. Dude, he's such a good pickup for them. Man, how did I forget him?
It's...
But yeah, they'd be a perfect 8-8. I think the Cardinals will be the first team missing, though, tied out with some other teams with like 9 wins. They'll miss. Could be 8, could be 9. I don't think they're getting 10 and getting the spot though. What are you thinking, Link?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, kind of a crap situation they're in with the NFC West looking so hot, but I see them facing or being last place in that division at about 7 wins.
All right.
And yes, I think Kingsbury will be gone after this year.
Fair enough. I think we can go to the final team of this pretty long preview. Sorry for the time, but we'll go with the Rams, and we'll try to get through this last bit quickly. So obviously, the Rams headline acquisition, of course, being Matthew Stafford going out with 2 first-round picks and Jared Goff. I think that Stafford, while not, one of the 10 best in the league, is an ample enough upgrade on Jared Goff to actually enable him to go and win the Super Bowl. Whether they'll do it or not is, that's another discussion. But we were talking about a coach on the hot seat before, but now we're talking about a coach who's very secure and has definitely been the key piece of the Rams, other than, of course, Aaron Donald. That being Sean McVay. His offensive mind took a team that was dreadful and really turned them around. And I think for the Rams, the expectation, once again, you got to get Aaron Donald the ring. And they went out and made a move to try to do it. Unfortunately, Cam Akers got hurt. They bring in Sony Michel to be a tandem with Darrell Henderson. Lots of high expectations from there. Offensive line, there are some questions, but they do seem to put out some quality on that front. Of course, the big things with the Rams is their receivers. They have guys like Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods. Where they brought in, maybe it was the Seahawks who drafted him. I'm trying to not do Tutu Atwell is another receiver. Got Tyler Higbee at tight end. So Stafford has a lot to work with here. But the defensive side of the ball is the headline pieces. Of course, the aforementioned Aaron Donald, who, in my opinion, if you throw positional value out the door, is the best player in the NFL. Of course, they had some really good pieces. They got Floyd, who did well, especially with a guy like Aaron Donald eating up the blocks. They had a lot of improvements on the defensive front. That'll be interesting to see. Of course, you have Sebastian Joseph Day, who's pretty good. Of course, the big headline, is the corner position, which is led by Jalen Ramsey, who is another corner, as we mentioned here. Also, he's the other guy. I mean, to many, well, not in the he is second other guy, but he is the other guy that we needed to mention that has that best corner in the league argument. He's coming off a great season, just like Jair. And with those two guys, I mean, Staley, who left, but you could tell the infrastructure is there, is that the Rams have two insane threats that help the guys around them. And losing Johnson is going to be a big loss at safety, but they can absolutely bounce back at that position without him. I mean, is there anything that you guys kind of want to say with the Rams?
I mean, with the Rams, they're built to win. They have one of the more complete rosters in all of football. They have good offense. They got Matthew Stafford, who is a direct upgrade to Jared Goff. Like, he is such an upgrade to Jared Goff. Oh my God. And they got Darrell Henderson and Sony Michel. Leaves a bit to be desired at the running back position, but the receivers, they're good. Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, and the offensive line is good. They got the defense, which is I said the Bucs were the best defense in the league. Yeah, meet number 2. Yeah, it's the Rams. And Aaron Donald, again, positional value out the window, best player in football. He has just been a freak, a total freak since he came into the league. And the mission is to get him a ring. And I think they win their division at 12-5 and get the 2 seed in the NFC.
Yeah, that's where, except I would put them at 11 wins. Big keynote about the Rams, they're losing Cam Akers, but Darrell Henderson Jr. will be back at the starting back position, which, I mean, he didn't, not super impressive in terms of his production.
But yeah,
he played a couple games.
But he is also platooning here, so.
Yeah. But I have the Rams at 11 wins. Yes, a 3-way tie for the NFC West crown, because I think it's going to be a very competitive division. But
I put the Rams at 12. They'll be the first wild card team, but we'll get more into that soon.
now, in terms of
any-
who I think, because this is important for the prediction, in terms of I think who gets the wild card, who's the best when it comes to divisional play, I think no. Tiebreakers in terms of conference play, I'm pretty sure. I think
Yeah.
But I think the Rams are going to be the team that's going to get the home game. But I mean, hey,
There's a lot to be seen from that NFC West dogfight.
That division is gonna be chaos, and I'm here for it, man. That's gonna be so fun to watch it from a distance.
Yeah. So speaking of which, I guess it's time to do our playoff predictions. So just to interject, would you guys mind if I shared what Steven left us for his?
yeah, go ahead.
Just going up. So his 1 seed was the Buccaneers. His 2 seed with the Rams. 3rd was the Packers. 4th was the Cowboys. 5th was the Niners. 6th was the Vikings. His 7th, he was. His 6th was the Seahawks, and his 7th was the Vikings. His 2 teams that he would have outside looking in, but putting up a fight would be Arizona and Washington. But he originally, when you were talking about it, he threw out the Seahawks, so he had those two as the bait for 7th seed. Reminded him, he was like, oh yeah. Who wants to go first with their own though?
With me, I have the Bucks at the 1 seed, Rams at the 2 seed, Packers at the 3 seed, Cowboys at the 4 seed, Seahawks at 5, Niners at 6, and Saints at 7.
I have the Buccaneers as the 1 seed, the Niners as the 2 seed, the Packers as the 3 seed, the Cowboys as the 4 seed, the Rams as the 5th seed, the Seahawks as the 6th seed, and as my 7th seed, it's a tough one. There are teams that can do it, but I think it'll be the Washington football team.
All right, so I probably already forgot what I said about record predictions for the earlier, but I have Tampa as the 1 seed. I think we're on agreement there. Green Bay is the 2nd seed. The Rams, the tiebreaker from the NFC West, as the 3rd seed. The Cowboys get the 4th seed, and then Niners, Seahawks. I'm honestly either tempted to put Washington or the New Orleans Saints as that last wild card spot.
You had to pick one.
If I had to pick one in terms of who I think would be a better bet, would be the Washington football team.
Seems fair enough.
But yeah, that's the
a lot
NFC.
more variance with these NFC picks than with the AFC, but that's kind of the nature. The NFC is a little more chaotic most of the time.
The AFC is very uniform.
Yeah.
The AFC has always had an upper echelon. Say, the moment Brady stepped out, Mahomes stepped in. Even on the NFC, it's just chaos. Well, now Brady lords over the NFC.
Yeah.
Moral of the story, Tom Brady lords over wherever he is.
I guess we're going to go, with now the week 1 predictions. We're going to go with who we think is going to take each game the first week of the season. As you know, for the sake of time, we'll speed through it. Cowboys versus Buccaneers. Who are we going with?
Bucks.
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 Seahawks versus Colts.
Seahawks.
I have the Hawks winning that.
Eagles versus Falcons.
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 I have the Eagles winning that.
Chargers versus football team.
Chargers.
Ooh, that's
Football team.
one of the more competitive matchups. I mean, the spread is
agree.
about even for each, but I like the Chargers. Let's see if they can get a win.
Bills versus Steelers.
Bills.
Bills.
Yeah, Buffalo's winning that.
Niners versus Lions.
Niners.
Niners.
Yeah, and, Niners.
Vikings versus Bengals. Vikings.
Yeah, Vikings.
The Vikings, yes.
All right. Panthers versus Jets versus Panthers. Panthers.
Yeah, Panthers.
Christian McCaffrey will. in his big return. Well, yeah, will destroy the New York Jets.
Cardinals versus Titans. Titans.
Titans.
Browns versus Chiefs.
Chiefs.
I think Chiefs, but this is a game I think the Browns could shock the world with. I wouldn't be shocked.
This should not be a 3:25 game. I felt like that could be like a Sunday night football.
That would be a great Sunday.
That'd be a great Sunday night football.
Dolphins versus Patriots.
I have the Patriots.
When's the last time the Finns beat New England in New England?
Yeah, that's my point. I'm thinking they're close enough teams. It's going to be the typical like home team wins narrative with these.
Yeah, it's always the home and home with them.
Yeah, Patriots.
Broncos versus Giants.
Broncos. Giants never win week 1.
What are you thinking here, Link?
I'm thinking Broncos.
All right. It's Packers versus Saints.
Packers.
The Packers winning.
We were talking about the roster uncertainty with the Saints, and these are amplified early season. So, yeah. Rams versus Bears.
Rams. Let me go with the Rams.
Yeah, I think the Rams are going to win.
Ravens versus Raiders.
Ravens.
Yeah. Baltimore will win. I think is that all of them?
Yeah, this is a weird one though.
Oh wait, we missed one, and I don't blame you for missing it. Do we want to predict Jaguars Texans?
Oh my God, yes, Jaguars versus Texans.
The Jags winning.
I have the Jags.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. All right. Yeah.
I was worried that I didn't put them in the pick'em, but I realized, they're in it. So now,
I don't blame you, though.
To wrap this up, if you were doing a survivor pool, we are doing a survivor pool. So the rules of a survivor pool, you can only pick a team once. So you have to say you need to be smart when you pick them. And obviously only one team you can pick per week. Which matchup are you taking? I took the Niners beating the Lions.
I took the Broncos beating the Giants.
I took your advice because I was confused because you were introducing me in the survivor pool. And I didn't really understand all of it, like the fact that you can only pick, one team, and you can't use that team that's, for the rest of the season to win. So, yeah, I picked the Niners over the Lions.
Yeah, so I guess, Link, if you have anything to say with bonus, go ahead.
Nothing much other than stick around if you're or stay tuned. Upcoming this week, the 3rd episode of the Fifth Down College Football Talk Show, where we discuss the entirety of Week 1, the upsets, the potential frauds, and the overall shenanigans, if you will, that was Week 1. We'll discuss all that, and we'll have some Week 2 talk too.
Yeah. So I'll just.
If you're gonna plug your show, I'm gonna plug my show too. But
of course. Yeah. Everyone, be sure to watch the Cameron Woolley show.
Everyone, be sure to listen to the Cameron Woolley show, as comic book men TV star Ming Chen and I talk various sports. This week we're gonna be talking some football. No, mostly this season I've been whining about the Yankees and how they've been rather disappointing, to say the least. And by disappointing, I mean infuriating. And I have fun on there. It's a passion project of mine. It would mean a lot if you just drop the like on the most recent episode. I also have a blog if you go to camwooleyshow.com. If you want to read some of my writing pieces, I recently dropped something in the last week about modernizing the 5 tools of baseball, if you want to read that. And also I do the occasional hockey coverage as well. So I kind of do it all on there. So be sure to stop by, listen to the Cameron Woolley Show on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, or SoundCloud.
Started doing the Knicks too now.
Yeah, because I told myself I would start paying attention to the Knicks the moment they became good, because I don't need to follow another bad team.
Here
bad for my heart. That's
So I
my
guess
heart.
the bonus minute, I just instead of going F1, which did have another race, not a fun one. Just quickly, baseball has pissed me off since we last
Oh God,
recorded.
that's two of us. That's
Um,
two of us, buddy.
let's
Oh.
just say that we dropped a series of the Giants, and I'm not happy with it. But yeah, I guess that's really it. It's unfortunate Steven wasn't here. He'll definitely be back. We're gonna start possibly doing some live content soon, so look out for that. We'll see when.
Follow the Twitter
Obviously,
for that stuff.
for updates, yes. The main holdup is the technical issues I'm having right now. If these are resolved, then we should have like no problem doing these. It's just a matter of when they're resolved, which should be by week 1. But anyways, I mean, thank you for listening. I know this is a bit of a long one, but yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much. I had a great time.
All right, we'll catch you next time.